Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Wednesday. Happy Hump Day, one and all. Thanks for being here. We're hanging out for the next 3 hours on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, on your mobile device, on the MSC Radio app, and on YouTube at 580 Sports Talk. However, wherever, whenever you are tuning into the program today, thank you so much for being a part of 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuy will be along in the 4 o'clock hour as per usual. 3 hours of sports talk today. We'll hand it off to the Royals Radio Network at 6 o'clock tonight. Prior to Game 2 of their 3-game series at Target Field in Minneapolis against the Minnesota Twins, who beat the Royals last night with a pair of runs in the bottom of the ninth inning, a 3-2 final score, an all too familiar outcome for the boys in blue this season. Royals will send Randy Dobnak to the mound, the former Twin, tonight. He'll go up against notorious Royal killer Joe Ryan. So, that's tonight, 6:40, first pitch, 6 o'clock pregame. We'll have it for you right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Well, the bad news is certainly that the Royals didn't get us to training camp, which is what we always ask them to do, at least be competitive to the start of Chiefs training camp, and they could not do that this year. That's the bad news. Good news is it no longer matters because it's training camp. I mean, I'm not saying it. The Royals no longer matter. I'm interested in their, I remain interested in the day-to-day. But it no longer matters that the Royals couldn't get us to training camp because it's training camp. It's here. Everybody's in town in St. Joe. Mark Donovan has spoken. The team has worked out. The first full team workout at St. Joe for the Kansas City Chiefs was today. We're going to talk all about it. A couple of interesting nuggets from the first day of workouts. Andy Reid spoke. We'll hear from him. We'll also hear what the new man in town in the backfield, Kenneth Walker, had to say after practice. Either Kenneth Walker, a man of few words, or there just wasn't much to ask him today because he didn't speak for long. Nick Bolton spoke for a little bit longer today, the stalwart middle linebacker on the Chiefs defense. We'll hear from Nick Bolton as well. We won't play you the entirety of the Mark Donovan press conference today because he spoke for over half an hour. And much as I might like to just press play and put my feet up for half an hour, the sports talk equivalent of when radio DJs used to put Inagata DeVita on when they want to go, smoke a cigarette or go to the bathroom or whatever. I'm not going to do that to you. But there are some interesting tidbits. I've already said nuggets in this segment. I didn't want to reuse the vocabulary. There are some interesting tidbits from what Mark Donovan had to say earlier today. We'll play you some of that audio, including the aggressiveness that the Chiefs are showing, trying to attract major events to the new Chiefs Stadium almost as soon as it opens. They don't want to waste any time getting a Super Bowl and a Final Four to Kansas City. And I think what occurred this summer drastically enhances the Chiefs' chances of getting one sooner rather than later once the stadium is built. It's wild to be talking about this. We're still not like 100% where the shovels are going to go into the ground, right? We just know it's going to exist by 2031 because there won't be anywhere else for them to play unless they want to go play at a sporting park or something. But the Chiefs are being aggressive. And we'll play you what exactly Mark Donovan had to say on that and a couple of other things germane to the future of the new stadium and the future of training camp, which looks, at least for the short term, to be staying in St. Joe at Missouri Western State University. So plenty of audio from day one. Not actually day one, but for a lot of intents and purposes, it's the first full day. You had freshman orientation, and now you've got everybody's on campus, literally, ready to rock and roll at Chiefs training camp. Lots of audio, lots of good stuff on the football side of things today. We'll get into some Royals baseball as well. Lots of trade deadline rumblings. Nothing actually happening yet. We'll dig into that a little bit. Seth Lugo helped his cause as a trade target. 6 strong innings last night in that loss at the hands of the Twins. So we'll look ahead to tonight's game as well. Our guest on the program today, Ryan Gilbert of GoPowerCat.com, and we mean it this time. When we dial the phone, it actually will be Ryan Gilbert on the other end of the line after we had that snafu last week and called Tim Fitzgerald. And when we were happy to speak with Tim, we're always happy to speak with Tim, but Fitz is on a bit of a hiatus right now. You guys know, many of you know, dealing with some health issues long term and not putting forward any content right now at GoPowerCat.com, taking a bit of a hiatus there, and we're respecting that, of course, and wishing for the best and praying for the best for our friend Tim Fitzgerald. Ryan Gilbert, among those who have filled in ably both at the website GoPowerCat.com and on the Wildcat Wrap-Up presented by Tallgrass Windows and Doors here on 580 Sports Talk. And last week, we had scheduled to call Ryan, and we accidentally called Fitz. And by we, I mean it was my fault, 100%. We've done what we need to do to make sure that doesn't happen this week. We'll talk to Gills. He's been putting a lot of basketball and football content up there at GoPowerCat.com as the season gets closer, so plenty to discuss when we talk to Ryan Gilbert in the Wildcat Wrap-Up at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. We've got our typical Wednesday shenanigans as well. We got What Is Wrong With You coming up. It's the last day of a short competition week on What Is Wrong With You because we got to crown a July champ. At the semifinals, rather, not that long a month. Only feels that way sometimes. We'll have the semifinals of What Is Wrong With You tomorrow for the month of July, and then a July championship on the last day of the month on Friday. So we'll do that. We got headlines, and we'll play around a One Gotta Go as well today. You are, as always, invited and encouraged to be a part of 580 Sports Talk. Why don't you pop onto the text line, 785-272-9429. Hit us up. Let us know what you're thinking. 785-272-9429. All questions, comments, concerns, whatever you got on the text line, 785-272-9429. Also, join us in the live chat on YouTube. Name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. Go subscribe if you've yet to do so. Doesn't cost you anything but a click or the tap of your screen. You subscribe, you get notified when we go live, all that good stuff. We're going to start rolling out some more video content as July moves into August. We get closer to football season. We get closer to high school sports season. Going to do a lot more local sports content. At least that's our aim, to do a lot more local sports content on the YouTube side of things this year that maybe not part of the regular run of show here on 580 Sports Talk, but something additional, something additive. So now's a great time to subscribe to the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, if you care at all, have any interest in high school sports in Northeast Kansas, college sports in Northeast Kansas. We'll get some things going over there on the 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel. And join the live chat during the show when we're live, 3 to 6 Central every day, Royals broadcasts permitting. We've got the live chat going. It's a great place to grow the 580 Sports Talk community. Apparently, music trivia is big in there these days. A lot of that going around. That's fun to see. Appreciate everybody who is in the chat this afternoon. I see Mark H., Christopher, Britt was first in. Good to see you. Vance, Andrew is into the chat today. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Paul, I see you. Good to see you as well. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Let's begin. Just as the Chiefs' full team did today. Chiefs camp now, you can officially say, is in full swing. Day one is in the books. No serious injuries. Knock on wood, that continues. Patrick Mahomes did everything that you would expect a starting quarterback to do in 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s, continuing to test the knee, that brace. It's a funky, it doesn't look, remember when the knee braces used to be so clunky, and now they're a lot sleeker that he's got on that left leg? The Mahomes, in what video we got to see, looked like he was moving around like Patrick Mahomes. Two things of note from today that jump out a little bit and I think bear a little bit of discussion. First of all, Nate Taylor wrote this up on ESPN.com today as a bad day for the wide receivers. And that is not the thing you want to be reading on day one of training camp with the uncertainty surrounding this receiver group. Is read about a bad day for the receivers. But that's how it was framed at ESPN.com today by Nate Taylor, friend of the program, that it was not a particularly strong day. It began inauspiciously with Tyquan Thornton dropping a pass over the middle on the first 11-on-11 rep, which Mahomes was out there with the ones, of course. Apparently, it was a really bad day for Jalen Royals. This is from Taylor's piece at ESPN.com that went up maybe about an hour ago. The wideout who struggled the most was second-year receiver Jalen Royals. Royals fumbled a few steps after he caught the ball on the perimeter as safety Shamari Connor used his right hand to punch the ball out. The rep ended with Connor recovering the ball and sprinting down the field along the sideline. A few minutes later, Royals was late, turning his head back to locate Mahomes' pass on an intermediate route, leading to an incompletion. You'll hear Andy Reid mention Royals. Somebody asked a question about him in the press conference today, in the media availability. And if you're a player and somebody is asking about you, that either means you had a really good day, like noticeably, like a loud good day, or you had a loud bad day. And it sounds like Jalen Royals had a loud bad day. And that's not what you want to hear about a guy who is entering his second season, fourth-round pick. You don't necessarily think your fourth-round wide receiver is going to be a superstar, right? Like, setting aside fifth-round pick Tyreek Hill, who was not a fifth-round pick for anything having to do with his on-field ability, you don't take a wide receiver on the third day thinking, oh, this is a future number one wide receiver in our offense. But certainly you expect them to be helpful, particularly if you're taking them in the fourth round of the draft. You're thinking, this is a guy who can help us. This is a guy who fits a role, who fits a need, who maybe does something our other receivers don't. We can work into the offense. Maybe a slot receiver, maybe a number 3 or a number 4. It's a good outcome for a fourth-round wide receiver. Jalen Royals couldn't hardly get on the field last year. And some of that, yes, was about the injury that he suffered during the preseason. But if you can't get on the field at all, particularly when the injury bug that gnawed through the Chiefs roster last year started to impact the wide receiver room, well, that was a bit of a red flag for Jalen Royals. Whether that was inability to pick things up offensively, whether that was not all the way back to full health, or the kind of health explosion, athletic level that the Chiefs were looking to see him reach. And maybe some of that was what they saw in practice, what they saw behind the scenes. They weren't really all that impressed with. When he finally did get on the field, they wouldn't throw him the ball, and it took him until the very, very end of the year just to get on the field. And so I don't want to hold the lack of production against Royals in year one, because I know the injury was impactful, and by the time that he did get on the field, it was Chris Oladokun at quarterback, right? But at the same time, that he couldn't get on the field before that, yeah, it's a concern. And him coming out of the gate and having a notably bad day of practice, it's not what you want, because in an ideal scenario, he's probably the guy that would be your fourth wide receiver this year, which means he's one injury away from three guys, all of whom have an injury history, from being a pretty important part of the wide receiver room. And there's not really a nice way to say that having a bad day on day one of practice is not how you seize the moment. Cyrus Allen, on the flip side, had a good day. You know, Chiefs always are choosy about what they show you with their camp video that they post as highlights to social media. Like, for instance, they showed Jack Cochran intercepting a pass in reps today. Did they show who threw that pass? No, they did not. I don't know. I haven't done enough digging around on X to see if that was a portion of practice that was open to the media, and if anybody in the media said, oh, yeah, Jack Cochran picked off Mahomes or picked off Justin Fields or Garrett Nussmeier, whoever. Doesn't really matter, but this just goes to show you, right? It's state-run media a little bit. You're going to be selective about what you show, what you don't, and also who you spotlight and who you don't. So I think that it is noteworthy that Cyrus Allen had a good day. Cyrus Allen highlights made it to your social media timeline today. And that the thing that he was said to do well at Cincinnati, which was run routes. Like, this is not a guy who blows you away with athletic traits, but he's a good route runner. Knows how to get himself open. That has, at least in the early phase of training camp, translated for Cyrus Allen in such a way that, again, it's just day one, but you got to think right now, camp broke tomorrow, Cyrus Allen might have a lead on Jalen Royals for a roster spot, at least on the depth chart. I'm not saying that Royals is going to get cut. I'm not saying either guy can get cut. I think they both probably feel reasonably safe about making the 53. But Allen has certainly been the more impressive early of the two performers. He had a good pre-orientation workout with all the new guys working with the quarterbacks, and reportedly had a good day today. So, again, wide receiver 4 is not the most fascinating position battle to watch, but right now it doesn't look like much of a battle at all. And Jalen Royals is starting to look like another in what has unfortunately been a long line of day 3 wide receiver picks for the Chiefs that don't really give the Chiefs anything. And am I being too harsh? Am I being too hasty saying that about Royals? I might be. But, you know, track record isn't real good. Like, where have you gone, Jehu Chesson? Right? Cornell Powell, practice squad legend. Jalen Royals headed the way of those guys, especially when he was a 4th-round pick. That wouldn't be a great outcome. But Cyrus Allen, 5th-round pick. So that is one of the takeaways from today. The other thing, too, about Royals' not very good day is that they mention him fumbling and they mention him running a route incorrectly. They also talk, and I said it, the first rep of the day, and there's video of it out there. You can see Tyquan Thornton running kind of a deep slant, not a post, but a slant route to the intermediate part of the field, over the middle of the field, and Mahomes puts it on the money, and Tyquan Thornton, with nobody around him, drops the ball. And that's not good. Even if you want to allow for, hey, drops happen, like, you don't like to drop when you're wide open on the first rep of camp. But a drop is a mistake that you can, like, all right, just catch the ball next time. Everybody drops passes. Catch the ball next time. But when you're getting stripped of the football, when your timing is off, when you're not looking at the quarterback when you need to be looking at the quarterback, that's, again, those to me are more concerning things than somebody dropping a pass, because drops are going to happen. If anything, I saw that route for Tyquan Thornton. I thought, oh, please run Tyquan Thornton on that route during the regular season. Please get back to working the intermediate middle of the field with your wide receivers, because the cheat code in the intermediate middle of the field is 37 years old. You got to find some different answers to work the middle of the field with a guy with an unbelievable arm who can thread the ball into any window. Got to get back to that. So I was more encouraged by the existence of that play as the first one they ran in 11-on-11s than I was discouraged that Tyquan Thornton dropped the ball. Anyhow, other thing that I took away from today that I thought was interesting, the first reps for the first team at defensive back. Noel Williams on one side, L'Jarius Sneed on the other. LJ Sneed, are we going with LJ now? Has he flipped the switch and wants to be LJ now? Like, that's fine. You know, call anybody what they want to be called. But it's going to take some getting used to because he was L'Jarius all the way through his first run with the Chiefs. But he was out there with the ones and not Mansour Delane, who we expect is going to start on the outside. Chris Roland Wallace got the first crack at slot snaps with Shamari Connor and Alohi Gilman at safety. And I mentioned Connor. Obviously, he was the one who stripped the ball from Jalen Royals in one of the reps. Apparently, Connor had a really good day. And I think the more he sticks to safety and the less they try to make him into a man cover slot corner, the results are going to be really good. I think Shamari Connor is a good safety, maybe even a very good one. But interesting to see Sneed run with the ones. Obviously knows the scheme. You're trying to get guys in who can maybe show the youngster how it's done. They're still being a little cautious with Delane at this point. Got him in the non-contact jersey, which that starts to be a concern once you put the pads on. You start hitting people if the non-contact jersey's still on for Delane. Roland Wallace in the slot is really interesting too. Clearly, the Chiefs really like him. Another undrafted guy. He's hung around for the last 2 years. I've said about Roland Wallace before, good things seem to happen around him. When he's around the ball, good things seem to happen. He's got a couple of interceptions in his career. I believe, has a forced fumble or a fumble recovery. Like, guy who seems to have a nose for the ball, has versatility, which the Chiefs love in their defensive backs. Like I said, I think Jaden Kennedy's got some really interesting tools at the slot position. But Roland Wallace definitely has a chance to win that job being the more experienced guy. And either way, it means Shamari Connor is not in that mix. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for more safety Shamari Connor in 2026. I think that makes the whole defense better. We'll take a break. Want to hear from you, 785-272-9429. Also the live chat on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk. We'll hear from Andy Reid, Kenneth Walker, and Nick Bolton this hour. We'll talk about what Mark Donovan, not Matt Donovan. All our friends are Matts, but Mark Donovan, the Chiefs president, had to say earlier today, and some interesting thoughts from him we'll get to. We got Ryan Gilbert to GoPowerCat.com, bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. We got some Royals baseball later on. We are full up to the brim today on this Wednesday. Thanks for being here, 580 Sports Talk. .330 on 580 Sports Talk. We're just getting things rolling on this Wednesday afternoon. Appreciate everybody watching on YouTube. In the comments, the live chat, Andrew's not concerned about a slow start to training camp, and I wouldn't be either. I'm not like full-fledged panic that Tyquan Thornton dropped a pass, right? I'm just saying for Jalen Royals' perspective, didn't seem like he made a very good first impression last year, and so far the first impression for a guy that I think most people have penciled in as wide receiver 4 on this team, it didn't go well for him today. And he's a guy, you know, we talk about Rashee Rice obviously being under pressure and Xavier Worthy trying to prove that he's worth a long-term investment for the Chiefs as they decide going into next year whether they want to use the 5th-year option on him or sign him to an extension. It's a big year for those guys, but Jalen Royals entering year 2, didn't do squat in year 1. It's a big year for him, and that is not how you want to start your first day of camp, being a guy who performs so poorly that everyone notices. You know, you can drop a pass, you can have a bad rep, and sometimes nobody sees it, nobody notices, and you correct it, but you have a bad enough day, people want to ask the head coach about you. It's not the first impression you want to have if you're Jalen Royals. Speaking of people asking the head coach questions, Andy Reid did speak to the media earlier today. Here's what Big Red had to say.
All right. As far as the injuries go, Ethan Downs had knee surgery, so that was from the rookie part of the camp. And then we've got a couple guys that were put on IR, he being one of them, and then John Michael was also put on IR. Norman Lott is PUP. But working hard out here with our training staff and with strength coaches. And then Delane was worked, but just no contact with him. And then Rashee and Legarius, we had planned to get some work in, and then they went up mid-practice there and got some rehab done there. But it was all positive. It was planned. And we'll gradually ramp them up as we go. And then Pat did everything, so which is a positive there. Update on Mia. Bienemy, she's doing great. She's doing better and great from where she was out of the ICU unit and making progress. So we're happy about that. And EB's still with her, and that part's important that's taking place. I know. We didn't mention Jordan Devey, who was a part of our group here for a few years. Those things, they rip your heart out. It's a sad deal. But listen, these things happen, and his family will adjust to it. I mean, our prayers go out to them. Devastating thing, though. The stadium deal, I know Mark talked this morning. You know, you guys have got a lot of stuff here that you can write about, and then Clark's talking this afternoon. From the coach's standpoint, I think that's a beautiful thing. Getting a new stadium, I think it's great for both Kansas and Missouri. Opportunity to have one of a first-class stadium here, and with all the modern innovations that have come out in stadium building, it will be there. And so I think that's a beautiful thing when it's all said and done. And I know how competitive. I mean, I coached at the University of Missouri, man. I know how competitive Missouri and Kansas are, but we're just 20 minutes away, right? It's just 20 minutes away, and keep coming, right? You keep coming when we get to that point. Other than that, time's yours.
Andy, Eric, he was out here over the weekend, you could certainly feel his presence. In what way do you notice maybe his actions? I know you have other coaches that can rotate out.
Yeah, the other guys are, that's a catch-22 answer because you slight the coaches that are out here. But Eric's a big part of this, and so love having him here. But right now it's important that he takes care of business, and everybody knows that. So everybody's game is picked up, and they're working hard. And Eric will be back soon enough to jump in there and do his thing. So, but he's got to take care of that first.
Through the first 3 days in this practice, do you feel like Patrick is looking like himself in your eyes?
Yeah, he looked pretty good today, I thought. Strong. You see the strength in his legs, and which is important with a leg injury. You kind of look at that first, see how his feet are moving. Feet are moving well. I thought it was positive. I mean, I thought he looked well.
Andy, what are you seeing with Cyrus Allen so far, and allowing you to have this kind of good rhythm with Patrick?
Yeah, so Cyrus had a good day today with him, and I think Pat's got some trust there. We got a long way to go, right? But it's we just got to keep going, keep growing.
What do you think he's demonstrated that has allowed for some of that trust?
Well, he's got talent, obviously. He's been able to retain. Plus, he got a leader up here for 3 days before he got out there today. So the stuff that he was doing, he's been doing the last couple of days.
Andy, just overall general observations from this first day, all the vets reported, how they reported, everybody looked at.
Yeah, so I thought the run test was as good as it's ever been. The guys did a nice job with it. Thought they came back in good shape, and they made it through today. We're in that ramp-up process, so an hour and 25 or whatever this one was, and then you kind of start kicking it up every day, and then when they get the pads on, you back it up and you start kicking it up again. So, but the guys I thought ran around and did a nice job. I know those rookies were glad to have some long lines, and they got the grunt of it with all the heat.
How much will having a guy like Kenneth Walker change the game plan aspect, the run game, and what you want to do offensively?
Yeah, I thought he looked good today. He's working through everything. Smart kid, very diligent, wants to know everything. So, and he's talented, and that's kind of a good combination. So it's just a matter of him feeling comfortable with everything, and you don't do a lot of run game in this type of camp. You don't do where you're in no pads and in OTAs. So it'll be good to get the pads on where he can work on that a little bit more. But in the past game, he's been working like crazy.
How much do you change what you want to do based on his skill set?
Yeah, I think we're probably going to run every down.
Hey, Andy, you said hopefully he'd be back sooner rather than later. Do you have any better grasp of when you guys might get him back?
No. I just want to make sure she's taken care of, and Eric Jr. too. So and he's got the other part of that he's got to sort out. So just let him take care of that. We stay in touch with him and keep him abreast of everything that's going on. He's got the tape he can watch in his whatever spare time he's got there.
Coach, how important of a camp is it for Jalen Royals, and what does he have to do to maybe take some next steps?
Yeah, well, he's got a good feel for the game. He's just got to keep on with the reps and make sure he's got a good relationship there with Pat and keeps developing that.
Hey, Coach, you guys are kind of entering a period of change with the first losing season since 2012. How do you navigate this period of change while embracing the culture of rookies and new additions?
Yeah, so listen, every year is different in the NFL. So we're not worried about what went on before. We're worried about right now and taking care of business there. And so that's where our focus is. And in the National Football League, man, everybody's given an opportunity to do well, and we're no different. So let's take advantage of that and work our tail off and get a nice foundation right now so we can go forward.
Aaron?
Bolton's entering his 6th year. How will this year be different, or will it be?
I missed what you said there.
Nick Bolton entering his 6th year.
Okay.
How will this year be different, or will it be?
Yeah, listen, Nick's got first of all, he's had a phenomenal 5 years here. So, and I wouldn't imagine it's any different. He's got full grasp of Spags' defense. He's kind of his quarterback out there, as you'd say, with that middle linebacker position. He's got to be the transmitter between the back end and the front end and everything else there. So he, but I know he's in great shape, and he fights that just a little bit because he's got to keep his weight up and to play. And there's a real balance there. And sometimes it takes guys a little bit to get used to exactly where that sweet spot is. And he's been there the last couple years with that, and it looks like he's in great shape right now.
Matt, Derek?
Coach, with Patrick within his recovery, and that when you get him out on the field now at this point, are there things that you see that you can work with him and talk to him, just based on your experience of guys coming back from injuries before, that you kind of see him coming into those same patterns and characteristics and how they kind of break through them?
Yeah. So I'm obviously keeping a close eye on him. I'm not the doctor, but I'm keeping a close eye on the small things technique-wise. But he's prepared for those things, and Julie has done a great job with him with his rehab of really giving him opportunities to push off, and whether it's lateral or straight ahead, to make sure he can escape as needed. He's got good strength. He made good strength through the practices he's been in, where he can still bend and throw, and he trusts the leg to drive on it. So I think those are all important things. But I mean, I stand right behind him, so we talk. Yeah.
Last two, Steve and then Neil. What's you?
Coach, day one of year 14 for Travis. Does it surprise you at all that he's still out there doing what he's doing?
Yeah, he looked pretty good. Yeah, he looked pretty good. Yeah, he stayed in shape. He did a lot of dancing at his wedding.
Coach, you stole my question, but I'll ask you, what's it mean to have a guy like that who's been around, who's a leader that people can look to? He's a good leader.
Yeah, tremendously. Well, you're talking about Kels? Yeah. No, he's a great leader, and he works so hard, and he wants to be in there. For a young guy to look at that, and then it's hard for them to make an excuse to take a rep off, because he's out there going, and if they try to get sneaky, he yanks them back in there, so makes them go. So that's always good to have.
That was Andy Reid earlier today out in St. Joe. He seems pleased with Patrick Mahomes' progress. I mean, you don't want to get too far over your skis, but at the same time, it sounds like that's going as well as it possibly could be going. Mahomes' recovery from that torn ACL in his left knee. Also got a couple of good lines in there. He's in a good mood. Everybody's in a good mood. First day of school. Everybody's friendly. It's kind of what it feels like when everybody's together day one of training camp. We're going to hear from some of the players on the other side of this break. Kenneth Walker and Nick Bolton spoke to the media. We'll play those availabilities for you in just a little bit. And we've got some clips from Chiefs President Mark Donovan speaking earlier today. Some interesting stuff about the new Chiefs Stadium and what it means for major events coming to that new stadium when it does open in the 2030s. But before we take a timeout, I want to tell you about Calhoun's Jewelers here in the capital city, because it's where I bought my wedding band, my wife's wedding ring and engagement ring. We've always been happy with our purchases and always happy that we chose Calhoun's Jewelers, because they still treat us like great customers. Come in to get your ring cleaned, get it polished, get the diamonds tightened if need be, and they do a tremendous job. They know that the relationship doesn't stop just when you make the purchase. That's a lifelong purchase, obviously, that you make when you purchase a wedding ring or something along those lines. And it doesn't have to be a wedding. Of course, you never really need an occasion to get something special for the special people in your life. And Calhoun's Jewelers is the place to go for those special occasions. So go see them, 18th and Gage, here in Topeka. That's Calhoun's Jewelers. Back after this on 580 Sports Talk. 3:44 on 580 Sports Talk. More audio from Chiefs camp in just a second. First, some breaking news from the Kansas City Royals. They have placed Vinny Pasquantino on the 10-day injured list. That hand didn't really heal all the way or was re-aggravated. He left the game last night, the 3-2 loss to the Twins, and immediately back to the injured list. Royals didn't even play any games with this one. Didn't even hold him out. Let's see how he is. And then 5 days later, I guess we'll put him on the IL, like they've been doing with a bunch of guys this year. No, straight back to the injured list for Vinny Pasquantino. John Rave has been called up from AAA Omaha. So the Royals will field a lineup tonight where they are going to be without 3 of their 4 best hitters. And I know Pasquantino hasn't had a good year, but like on career form, you would certainly be comfortable calling him one of their. You would honestly, on career form, their 3 best hitters are on the IL right now: Witt, Garcia, and Pasquantino. Now, I think Kaggs and Jensen are in the conversation. They got 5 guys who I feel comfortable saying are good hitters, and 3 of them on the 3 of them on the IL. That's not what you want. Kenneth Walker spoke to the media today in St. Joe. His first practice training camp as a Kansas City Chief is underway. Here's what K9 had to say.
You're well known for being just such a patient runner. Is that something that you learn and develop? Is it natural, and how do you feel like it's going to help you fit into this offense?
Yeah, I just believe over the years, running the ball since growing up, and just working with my pops. Just seeing the defense is, I believe that's how I really learned how to be patient or, explosive. It just depends on what the play is, honestly. And would you ask for the second question?
And yeah, is that something you feel like really feels like fits into this offense that you can add something to?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that helps the O-line. Sometimes you got to be fast, but others you got to be patient and, let the blocks develop and just hit the hole.
You think you could make it in the passing game as a receiver and even just staying in on third down and then blocking?
Honestly, I believe I can make a positive impact on anything. Whatever they need me to do, that's what I'm going to do.
And your first football impression of the Chiefs training camp, what have you heard, what have you learned about OTAs and process?
First what? Sorry, what is that?
What have you learned about training camp? You've heard about it, obviously, but your first experience here, what do you think of everything that goes on? Yeah, definitely. Today was more of a chill day, acclimation period, getting used to everything. But, I already heard the things about how hard it'll be, how hot it'll be out here. But, I feel like that's going to get us ready for the season and the games.
What's impressed you most about seeing Patrick from maybe day one of OTAs? Even what you're seeing right now?
Just the leader he is. We already know he's a great player. I see why he's a great player because the way he practices, the way he leads the team, and the energy that he brings every day.
When we had ended up here in Creation as a leader, I guess why is that important to you to make sure that all running backs are in order and feel like they have confidence?
All the running backs what?
Why is that important to you to sort of mold the younger guys and just make sure that they have confidence?
Yeah, definitely. We don't want it to be a drop off anywhere. If my helmet gets messed up or something, I come out of the game, or Amari comes out of the game, we want everybody to be able to produce just like the first person. So I believe that's why it's good to have everybody on point.
And it just seemed to tour Kansas City almost. What's really stood out to you about it?
Really the barbecue, obviously. That's what they talk about the most, so that's what I really want to try. The barbecue, obviously, meeting the people around here, how the fans are, and they're really dedicated to the sport, so it's great to see that.
You don't have to name a restaurant, but what about pulled pork, ribs, burnt ends? What's your favorite barbecue so far?
I'll say I like ribs. That's what I've liked since growing up, so I'd say ribs for sure.
You're coming off a Super Bowl year. The Chiefs obviously didn't have a year that they wanted last year. Can you feel that in the building and you kind of bridge that gap?
Yeah, definitely. They want to win, and they've won many Super Bowls before, so definitely you see the work ethic that's going on around here. Everybody wants to compete and win, and we'll go out there and see how we play this season.
Kenneth Walker, fan of ribs. Good to know. Good to know. They get the barbecue questions out of the way on day one with the new guys. That's Kenneth Walker from earlier today in St. Joe. We'll hear from Nick Bolton after we take a quick time out here on 580 Sports Talk. Winding down this first hour of 580 Sports Talk, lots of Chiefs audio for you today after the first full day of team practice in St. Joe, Missouri Western State University. Linebacker Nick Bolton has been through his fair share of Andy Reid-led training camps. He spoke today after practice. Here's Nick Bolton.
All these things organized as a green dot, especially the linebacker forward, getting transitions there as well. So getting it all organized, how's that been?
Yeah, I think we kind of a lot of turnover on defense. Our room was kind of been a little bit less, other than we lost Leo, obviously. But having a group of guys that kind of come in and every single day put their best foot forward, helping the young guys out. I'm having some vet guys like Sneed, Chris, myself, Drew, Aloy as well. Just having some vet guys that's been there helps me out along the way, helps Bags out, relaying information. And obviously, we're just laying the groundwork right now, trying to lay the foundation and give us a chance to compete. I think the young guys did a good job during OTAs of absorbing knowledge, retaining it, and then coming out here on the very first day, minimizing mental errors and going out there and just executing the game plan. Yeah, a lot of different guys. Obviously, I just watched some of our early draft picks, just kind of see what those guys do well, what's the things they excel in, things that I feel like they could work on a little bit. R. Mason, Delane, Peter Woods, all those guys just added different things to our defense. R. Mason obviously is accelerating off the ball, good bend. Delane's a smart guy, good cover guy, good line of scrimmage, able to read concepts well. I think it's going to help us out a lot. And obviously, Peter Woods he do a little bit of everything, man. Stop the run, got a good pass rush and all that type of stuff. So every single day, I'm just kind of trying to see what guys do well, see if I can help them out, and the things they don't do well, trying to figure out I can make it easier for them.
How hard is it to replace Leo, considering he did so much?
Yeah, you're never going to replace that guy with just one person, man. The energy he has on the team, in the building, also on the football field. You see his effort on field goal block, but on defensive plays, he goes and plays 3-tech for us sometimes. He blitzes, plays some little coverage, a little bit of everything. So special teams as well. So it's going to be all hands on deck, man. I think they're trying to find guys that can mimic things he does well, but obviously he's a great player for us.
Nick, you mentioned a lot of the new faces, a bunch of new guys in the back end. How important is this time for just the communication aspect?
Yeah, I think that's what this whole training camp is about. Just communication, learning front work, everybody speaking the same language, everybody seeing the same things the same way. So everybody goes out there on Sundays and execute. So I think that's just the whole camp, man. We're just every day new challenges, put new things in, take things out, change communication verbiage. So everybody just retaining things and changing as we go.
Hey, what have you seen in the development and the growth of Cooper McDonald in the past year, from an undrafted guy and then now maybe a guy who is going to be competing for maybe a starting spot?
Yeah, man, I just see his confidence. This is the biggest thing. When he first came in, he was unsure of himself, where he fit, if he could blow in this league. And then as games progressed and seasons and years kept going, you can see his confidence growing. We always say, like, bring your own swagger, things you do well. But you can see, like, he brings his little things. He pass rush a little bit. He can play the run, set the edge. So you kind of see what guys' flavor when they bring their personality and have a little confidence to themselves. So I think that's probably the biggest thing I've seen.
Nick, we mentioned in the offseason just how difficult it was to grasp everything Steve wants to do. I guess, how far have you seen him come along, even throughout the offseason and out there today?
Yeah, I think he did a great job, even when he wasn't playing last year, of retaining information and learning, asking Leo questions and stuff like that when he was behind him. And I think that's kind of helped him out along the way. Now he just obviously got me and Drew and Coach BD and Coach House as well in his ear and kind of giving him some information. But just retaining information and not going backwards, I think it's kind of helped him up and set him up for the best success.
Yeah, Travis slid in between you and Drew for a nice catch in there. What did you see on that play? But also, how does that speak to sort of what condition you see him in as he's come back from this camp?
Yeah, obviously, Travis is a great player. He's going to beat him every single day. We're in a man coverage. We're in an out route, 7 route. So he's able to find a hole in between two guys. We try to play deep to short, make it a little bit contested. Pat did a good job throwing it back shoulder in between the two defenders to make the catch. But yeah, that's just what he does. He's been doing it for a long time. Those two guys, man, they're just like on a string. So you got to make sure you do a little bit better in communication and coverage.
You see it, does he look pretty fresh to you?
Absolutely. I think this is probably the first time having a little bit extended time in the offseason. So I think he took a great advantage of that and taking care of his body.
What does it mean to be in the Zoo Hall of Fame? You got that news from Andy Reid in the offseason.
Yeah, super special. Kid coming from Texas. Coach Odom took a chance on me. I was offered about 2 weeks before signing day, so I told him, man to a man, I'm going to give everything I got to this program for giving me a chance. And looking back on it, what is it, about 9 years ago from on the first day in the building. So, yeah, man, super proud to be a true son of the University of Missouri. This place has been my home, allowed me to be myself, allowed me to grow into my own and grow into a man. So, yeah, man, I was super excited. It surprised me. I made a joke. I was looking for an old guy when he first talked about it, walking up. But, yeah, I was super proud to be one of those guys.
I went to that, too. You went in with Andy Hill and Drew Lock now in that class, too.
Yeah, I had this thing where Drew Lock was actually a TA in one of my summer classes, my first year there. And so one of my goals, I had like a PowerPoint, whatever, and one of my goals I wanted to be in the Hall of Fame. And so having him and Coach Hill going in, man, super special. Those guys were there. I only played special teams my freshman year. So playing underneath Coach Hill, and then Drew Lock was a quarterback, and I saw him break Peyton Manning's record. So all that stuff, man, super cool to be a part of it, man. Yeah, it's a true 180 for real.
When you think of that journey of where you were, when you think of that journey where you were when you were a kid, stepping on campus to where you are now, I mean, just speak about what that journey's been like for you to where you've gotten since you did.
Yeah, man, I came a kid, just kind of didn't really know my place. I made a joke about just being a short, fat kid, about 5'10", about 258. It's a kind of chubby guy, so just trying to find my way, trying to figure out what I wanted to be, how I wanted to be, kind of who I wanted to grow up to be. So throughout the years, man, just every single day trying to put my best foot forward and trying to figure out what I wanted to do in my life, and if football was my thing or not. I didn't know if I was going to play or not. I didn't play till midway through my first year. So, yeah, I think it's been a long journey. I think it's been super rewarding, and yeah, just happy I took the chance to go to Missouri.
Last one.
Nick, we're about to get a low E. How far has he come since the offseason?
Yeah, I think he's been tremendous. Obviously, we saw him come from, I think, the Chargers to the Ravens midseason and able to go out there and produce, and he run that nod into a similar scheme, so he's able to kind of pick up things super quick, super cerebral guy, able to communicate well, get guys lined up, and then also on the sideline, able to make adjustments and things he saw and communicate things. So I think that's kind of the biggest thing that he brings to our team, man, is just a super smart guy, being able to relay information, and that's super big in SPAC scheme.
That was Nick Bolton speaking earlier today. Some high praise there at the end for Alohi Gilman. He's got to pick things up right away. There's can't be much incubation period for that free safety. That's obviously a hugely important role in the Chiefs' defense. That's why they've assigned it to veterans over the years, and why they chose to go that route again with going into the free agent pool to get Gilman after Brian Cook walked this offseason, went back to his home base of Cincinnati. So that was Nick Bolton speaking to the media earlier today. Coming up in the 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk, we're going to play you bits and pieces of Mark Donovan's press availability from earlier today. Some interesting thoughts on the process of building, designing the Chiefs Stadium and the practice facility that's going to be in Olathe, and aggressively pursuing a Super Bowl and a Final Four, and why I was skeptical at first, but now believe that not only can it work, it will work for the Chiefs and their new stadium, and for Kansas City to host those events. Plus, the Wildcat wrap-up with Ryan Gilbert at GoPowerCat.com, and a round of What Is Wrong With You. That's coming up on hour number 2 of 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2, 580 Sports Talk. On this Wednesday afternoon, Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, on your mobile device on the MSC Radio app, and on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. With you until 6 o'clock tonight, Game 2 of the 3-game series between the Royals and the Twins in Minneapolis gets rolling at 6:40 tonight. So we've got 6 o'clock pregame coverage from the Royals Radio Network. Get into some more Royals baseball a little bit later on in the program today. Obviously, the big story today, the Chiefs training camp is in full swing. Full team workout number 1 concluded today in St. Joe, and didn't have to bring the card out for anybody. You always hate to read the stories from camp, the guys that go down with injury on the first day of workouts. With Nick Scowerton, the second-year linebacker for the Panthers, is out for the year. Brian Brees, the nose tackle for the Saints, is out for the year, it sounds like. Shamar Stewart of the Bengals suffered an injury. They haven't said what that is, but you can infer from the video that it isn't good.
Carted off.
Every time you read carted off, it is it's obviously not what you want to see. So
it's always the worst too, non-contact injuries, man.
Yeah.
This is a non-contact portion of camp.
Exactly.
And camp is really non-contact anymore anyway.
Right. So yeah, anytime you hear about those non-contact injuries carted off, you can kind of draw a straight line from A to B, and usually the letters IR aren't far off. And you hate to read about that stuff, but it is a fact of a violent game like football that it does happen. So any day you cannot have that is a good day at training camp. And the Chiefs had a day like that. Rashee Rice and LJ Snead did leave. I got to start it now. Otherwise, I'm never going to get used to it. If he says he wants to be Legarius, that's fine. But if they're going to call him LJ, then maybe if that's what he wants to be called, I can do that.
Wait, is that a new thing?
Well, it sounded like that's what he was going by when he was playing in Tennessee. I'm going to look at the Chiefs roster at their website right now, and he's on the roster as Legarius, but the coaches refer to him as LJ shorthand, and I've seen it a lot more from the press as well. So I guess we'll see. I guess it can be interchangeable, but Rice and Snead left practice early, but Andy Reid laid it out in case you missed him. We played his press conference from today in the opening hour that was part of the plan. They're going to manage Snead's knee injury the same way they managed it back in 2023 when they knew the knee was kind of already pre-cooked
going,
and just wanted to make sure they get the best out of him in that 2023 season. And boy, they did. He was an all-pro. So it worked. Whatever they did worked. And so they're going to try and manage that injury the exact same way. And, of course, Rashee Rice coming off of the cleanup procedure on his previously injured knee. They're also going light on him early in camp. So nothing to be alarmed about, just part of the plan with those guys so far. So that was the injury news, such as it was from today, but nothing serious. And as long as that remains the case through training camp, then the Chiefs will have had a successful training camp.
Well, I mean, they had what's his face go down with the knee.
Yeah, Ethan Downs in the rookie portion. Like, with respect to him, I don't think that's as impactful as, a starter like Shamar Stewart in Cincinnati or Brian Bree. Yeah, the examples I was using, the guys who are starters. You don't want to see it happen to anybody, obviously, but it's unfortunate whether it happens to the first guy on the roster or the 90th guy on the roster. Goodness, Chiefs know what it's like when it happens to the first guy on the roster. So at least an injury of that nature, not necessarily a training camp injury, but the hope is that the guys that you're going to be really leaning on and counting on, you can keep them off of the injury card. So we heard from Andy Reid, we heard from Nick Bolton, Kenneth Walker on the first hour of today's program. You can always podcast us in case you miss us live, 580WIBW.com. Check out the podcast page. If you're a Spotify user, you can find us there. Search 580 Sports Talk, or you can watch us on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the YouTube channel, and you can find our daily archive. Every show we've done since October of 2022 is on the YouTube page. You can go find it and colorful graphics, and you can look at us while we make the words that you hear us make, if that's your thing, or if that's something that you're interested in. But lots of ways to catch up on 580 Sports Talk in case you ever miss anything. Coming up this hour, what you will not miss if you keep your radio locked here in the 4 o'clock hour, Chiefs team president Mark Donovan spoke today. We're not going to play his full 32-minute press conference, but a couple of notable quotables from Mark Donovan when he spoke in St. Joe that we're going to get to and remark upon. Also, bottom of this hour, it's the Tallgrass Windows and Doors Wildcat wrap-up with Ryan Gilbert of GoPowerCat.com.
I must ask, did you put the right phone number?
Yes. We mean it this time. We're actually going to call Ryan Gilbert. I'm going to double-check, make sure I didn't make any typos in the run of show, but I am certain I changed the phone number. So whoever you call it won't be Tim Fitzgerald, and I think it's going to be Ryan Gilbert. And he will join us at the bottom of this hour to talk all things K-State. We've also got What Is Wrong With You coming as well. It's our final What Is Wrong With You competition day of the month. We'll crown a short week's champion, and the winner today will advance to face the short week champion from the first 3 days of the month and the other 3 full week champions in tomorrow's July semifinals ahead of our championship What Is Wrong With You match on Friday. Still got some headlines, still got one got to go, still got some Royals talk, as I mentioned, that we'll get to on the show today. Text line is open. 785-272-9429 is the number. That's 785-272-9429. You can also, again, reach us and interact with us in the live chat on our YouTube channel. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. You can watch us live and interact with us. Also interact with your fellow listeners and help grow that 580 Sports Talk community. And can get in on the music trivia in there if you're interested as well. I have to ask, Spencer, are you familiar with the song Mexican Radio by Wall of Voodoo?
No.
It's a great song. It's a great song. They're playing Name That Artist in the chat. And I have to confess, I'm familiar with the song Mexican Radio. For a second, I thought it was Taco, but that's not them. Taco is putting on the Ritz. You're talking about like campy, ridiculous 80s classics. Putting on the Ritz by Taco is like very high on the list. Great song. Mexican Radio also great song.
All right.
Whom among us has not wished they were in Tijuana eating barbecued iguana?
You talked about us doing the July What Is Wrong With You championships coming up the next 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
July, I feel like has gone by so fast.
Interesting. I feel like it's been a really long month.
No, I feel like
it's a long month from a sports talk perspective because, I mean, and we get a lot of content. Obviously, we had Big 12 Media Days earlier this month, but Big 12 Football Media Days feels like it happened like 3 months ago already. And you have the slowest sports week of the year, Major League Baseball All-Star Week. It's a long week from a sports content perspective.
I just feel like once that starts up again, it goes fast.
When we get to August, that's when things really get cooking. At least as far as I'm concerned. Andrew wants to know if we're going to get any sound bites from any Green Bay Packers ownership. Not imminent, Andrew, but maybe an owner of the Packers will pop into the live chat.
I was going to say, he's been doing that lately.
He has.
So.
He has. Mark Donovan is the president of the Kansas City Chiefs, and every year he speaks at the early portion of Chiefs training camp, and every year has some interesting things to say, and obviously this year, lots of questions about the next home of the Kansas City Chiefs. We have seen the official renderings. We know who is going to build the stadium. There's no shovels in the ground yet, but we have a general idea, we think, of where they're going to put the stadium and where they're going to put the team's new training facility in Olathe as well.
Yeah, that came out yesterday.
So Mark Donovan naturally had a lot of questions to answer about that. And one of the first questions that he was asked had to do with, and he answers this question every year, where's training camp going to be moving forward? And there is a 5-year agreement right now the Chiefs are in the middle of between the Chiefs and St. Joe, Missouri Western State University. And that happens to expire in 2031, which would be when the Chiefs' new training facility opens. So this is what Mark Donovan had to say when he was asked about what the long-term future of Chiefs training camp looks like.
And we expect to be here for a long time. I will say this just because it's the obvious follow-up question. You know, with the training facility being built in Olathe, we as an organization have to look at everything we do with options. So that training facility is going to be designed with the ability to host training camp. We have to have that option. Who knows where we are in 5 years? But that decision will be made year 4 and year 5 as we go into that building because, you know, depending on the head coach, does he still want to go away? Does he see the efficiency? Those things will factor in. We just have to have the options.
It makes me sad. We talked about this yesterday. There are only 4 teams that leave a training facility to go and practice at a college somewhere. And the Chiefs have been one of them under Andy Reid, and this is the way Reid likes to do it. I don't know that I would sit here and say I think Andy Reid's still going to be the Chiefs head coach in 2031.
I think that's a safe bet.
If he
and Mark Donovan realizes that.
If he wants to be, I'm sure that he would be. I'm just not sure he's still going to want to do this in 5 years, 6 years. So the future of Chiefs training camp probably looks like the way it is in the rest of the league, where it's held at the team's training and workout facility. Donovan also talked about the need to, because one of the nice things about having it at a college is you've got a stadium to have it at. And so you've got seating. You've got places for people to sit and watch the practice, watch the 11-on-11, 7-on-7 portions of the practice, where you don't necessarily build stadium seating at your practice facility. Like I've been to as a media member, I've been to Denver Broncos training camp. And they train, they call it Dove Valley. It's the team's facility. And they've upgraded it since I covered it when I was an intern at KOA in Denver in college. But they allow fans still come watch, but all you got is like a grass berm where you can sit and you can watch it. So it limits the number of people you can get in there in the first place. And then obviously it's not optimized for parking because the only people you're really concerned about getting in there on a day-to-day basis are team personnel. So it ends up being a less fan-friendly training camp experience.
Yeah,
so
when I was growing up, going to before the Redskins moved there down to Richmond, like we talked yesterday, they had it at their facility, and it was basically like a hill, like a very less sloped hill, like enough where you could walk in. You could go up against the fencing that they had, probably 3 or 4 rows deep of people, and then there's just a bunch of chairs on the side of the hill. And now a lot of teams bring in like makeshift seating, like I know the Commanders do now. They bring in makeshift bleachers and stuff and real nice things. So they could do that, or they could build it into the training facility.
So I do think if you've ever wanted to go to see Chiefs training camp, you probably want to make that happen and make the trip out to St. Joe before 2031, because it's likely, although you never know, because, again, it is a big part of, and Donovan mentioned this, that it's a big part of what they like to do. They like having the ability to reach their fans in the fashion that they do with a training camp that is more fan-friendly. But at the end of the day, you got to do what's best. If you're the football coach, you got to do what's best for your football team. Andy Reid has always felt like this has been the best thing for his team. Most other coaches don't think that way. And probably the next head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, whoever that is, whenever that is, isn't going to think that way either. So,
hey, there are other places they could go to. They could come to Topeka, Washburn.
They could. You could come to Topeka and have your camp at Washburn University. You absolutely could. They got a first-class indoor facility. I can tell you that.
It's possible.
For sure. The other things that Mark Donovan spoke about, this was the maybe the big headline thing that came from Donovan's press availability today, talking about the possibility, once the Chiefs' new stadium is complete, about hosting major events, namely the Super Bowl and the Final Four. And to hear Mark Donovan tell it, they would like to do that just about as soon as they take the wrapping paper off the new place.
We have been in discussions with the NFL about Super Bowls in 33, 34, 35. We have been in discussions, very preliminary discussions, but we are aggressively pursuing Final Fours. If you know anything or follow anything about the NCAA, they're going to go out with a bid here. And the thing about it is that if you're the NCAA, you're trying to sort of put stability into your future planning. So they're trying to lock in all these dates. We don't have a building yet. And we don't want to be knocked out of those because they've locked in so many so far out. So we were in discussions with the NCAA last week about could we bid on these dates that our stadium will be done by then, but it's not done right now. So they were appreciative of that. I think, we've said to Kathy Nelson and the team there, we said to the folks who help us with these kind of bids that we're going to be very, very aggressive. We're probably going to be early bidders on most things. Acknowledging that doesn't really enhance our chances of winning the bid. Because I've been on the other side of that, and you really want stability, you want predictability, you want certainty. So it'll be a challenge, but when we did this deal, we made the commitment that we're going to be really aggressive.
So that was, again, Mark Donovan talking about bidding for Super Bowls and Final Fours. Again, target opening day 2031. They're talking about hosting 2033 Super Bowl and a Final Four not long after that. I have and remain skeptical. I've been and remain skeptical that the Chiefs are going to get in the Super Bowl rotation, right? Because when you think about the host sites for the Super Bowl, and this should be something that's a lot easier to just find on the internet. I remember when Google was good and it made sense. But when you think really about the cities that host the Super Bowl on a regular basis, you get Miami, you get New Orleans, you get Los Angeles. There are a handful of others that have done it a handful of times, but predominantly there have been cities that have been one-offs. And like Arlington will probably get more now that they've got the gigantic stadium. I think they've got another one that they're going to host in recent years. But I think it's far more likely that Kansas City winds up a Detroit or a Minneapolis where, once in a generation you might wind up hosting a Super Bowl. And the reason I think that is because everybody's going to build a dome stadium and everybody's going to build for a Super Bowl and everybody's going to get one. Like Nashville gets one in 2030. You think the NFL is going to go to Nashville year over year? I don't believe they will. But
that's one that I think that they could, just because there's a lot to Nashville could try to make the point of hey, this is a tourist city, bring it here.
But is that going to box out New Orleans? Is that going to box out Miami? Is that going to box out Vegas? Is that going to box out L.A.? I don't think so. I think those are going to be the cities that are probably every decade they're going to get at least one Super Bowl. And then after that, it's going to be a struggle. Final Four, I've always believed, was more possible given Kansas City's proven track record as a great college sports market, and one that is centrally located, one that obviously means a lot to the history of college basketball. It's still the city that has hosted the most Final Fours in history. It's still Kansas City. But following the World Cup, following how well Kansas City handled the World Cup, and look, it's a little different. It's not apples to apples comparing a World Cup to a Super Bowl. But at the same time, there are some challenges, I would think, and like, I'm not a city planner. I'm not a part of a sports commission, but I would think there are things about hosting a World Cup that are in some ways more challenging than getting a Super Bowl win. And Kansas City handled hosting the World Cup with such aplomb and has proven over and over to be a fabulous all-sports city that I think it's a little more realistic that they get into that Super Bowl rotation, maybe without having to wait for it, and get that opportunity, not into the rotation. Like I think that you once you get outside of Vegas and Miami and New Orleans and Los Angeles and maybe Dallas, or the Bay Area, I think it's really, really going to be hard to host a Super Bowl more than once a generation in Kansas City. But I think that I'm more confident in their ability to do well with it, even though it'll be at a different venue, different location. Certainly more confident in their ability to do well with it. Certainly more confident in Kansas City's ability to host and pull off multiple Final Fours over the years. One other thing that Mark Donovan said, president of the Chiefs, that I thought was interesting was discussing the process of the new stadium design. Like, we've seen the rendering, so we have now a rough idea what this thing is actually going to look like. Not some AI-generated slop on Facebook, like real hardworking architects putting together a real vision for the next Chiefs stadium. And Mark Donovan talked about why that was so important.
We did two really important things on the front end in giving them direction when they put the designs together. One was we shared the CSL study that we did with our fans. And we wanted them to have all the detail and all the specific information they gave to us. I think I've shared with you all before, the three big takeaways from the study. There was a ton in there, but the three big takeaways were it needs to be louder, and the tailgating has to be as good or better. And the rest was just that they trusted our ability to give them something they're going to be proud of. So we gave them that. We went to a pretty broad group of potential designers, and you can imagine the designs we got were all over the board. There were some really futuristic things, there were really some traditional things. And one of the things we sort of centered back on was we have to honor the legacy of Arrowhead, but we have to show a bold and innovative look at the future. And that was a challenge for our designers, like, do it. Do both of those things. And there are various degrees of that. I'll go back to the vacuum comment, which is, you're sitting in that room for 4 months, looking at design after design after design after design, and we kept zeroing in on, we got to get the balance right of honoring Arrowhead, but also looking at the future. And I thought David Manick and his team did an amazing job of really accepting that challenge and distributing it. One of the more satisfying parts of the feedback we got after we released the renderings was that was one of the first comments from most of the fans. It's like, wow, I see Arrowhead.
So, again, that was Mark Donovan, just a handful, just a selection of the comments that he made at his press availability earlier today. You think they got the renderings? You think they captured the spirit of Arrowhead Stadium? I think they did.
Yeah, I think they did as well.
It took me a second to see it, but once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it, if that makes sense. Like, I maybe didn't see it the first time around because you're distracted by the fact that the stadium's got a roof on it. But then once I saw it in the renderings, like, oh, yeah, no, that does. The shape and the contouring of the stadium is very, very reminiscent.
I think when you look at a certain view and you look at other views, a lot of stadiums look similar because they're the same thing. They're meant for spectators. They're meant for luxury suites.
Right.
They're meant, they
but so many ways you can do it, right?
Yes. So
it's not like baseball where you can do different things with the dimensions and what have you.
Yeah. So I think that's you have to go in thinking like it's going to look something like what you've seen before. So once I looked at it a few times, I was like, yeah, I really like that. We're not going to have time to get to it, but there's one thing that I know that he talked about and their preference, and they're going to look to keep it, is make sure that the new stadium is grass.
Yes,
and
that's
the new technologies that they can do to keep it, whether they're going to move it out like they do in Arizona and Vegas, or some kind of
grow it underneath the chemical compound roof that they think they'll be able to put up over it.
Apparently in New Zealand, I think he was saying there's some rugby
they've
indoor
got
stadiums
some rugby stadiums that work that way. Yeah,
the indoor grow grass. So
Ryan Gilbert at GoPowerCat.com going to join us bottom of this hour for the Wildcat wrap-up. We got What Is Wrong With You coming up next as well. But real quick, a word for my friends at Eagle Auto Wash and Detailing Salon here in the capital city. Locally owned, they care about how the streets and the roads and the interstates look here in the capital city. They want everybody to be shining, and that's why they've got the best prices, and they do the hardest work to make sure your car looks like something to be proud of every time you drive it away from their wash. If you're an Unlimited Wash Pass member, you get a chance to customize your Ultimate Wash Pass and make sure that you get exactly what you need, and can even have some options where you can have add-ons that you get in addition to their regular unlimited wash or their express wash as well. So many ways to clean your car, but any way you go about it, you're going to drive away with the cleanest looking car on the road, the best shine, and the best prices. It's Eagle Auto Wash and Detailing Salon in Fairlawn Plaza. Soar with the Eagle. What Is Wrong With You is next on 580 Sports Talk. So what is wrong with you? Time on 580 Sports Talk. 2 new stories today. Our winner will be the weekly champion, so we can do our July semifinals tomorrow and crown a monthly champion on Friday. Current champ, Iowa woman, the woman who got high and drove her lawnmower to Casey's. She didn't have a driver's license, didn't want to get a DUI without a driver's license, so she hopped on her lawnmower instead, got an OUI on the lawnmower. 2 new stories. Spencer, go first.
Yeah, we're going to Deltona, Florida, I believe is how you say it. I think. A man was arrested after he attempted to burglarize a barber shop and pistol whipped 2 barbers in that town. According to the deputies, the Volusia County Sheriff's Office said a violent armed robbery was reported at Tall Pat Barbershop at 9:04 a.m. on July 23rd. Deputies began tracking down the suspect by 9:37. They said Christopher Boone, 31, entered the shop carrying a long-barreled revolver with red tape on it. He pointed the gun at the barbers and demanded cash. He then pistol-whipped one barber in the head and threatened to kill her, according to the sheriff's office. VSO said a 5-year-old child was in the shop at the time. Another barber then rushed at Boone, trying to wrestle the gun away. Deputy said Boone struck him on the head with the gun and fled after the fight spilled out the front door. VSO said both barbers had large laceration wounds to their heads and were treated on the scene. K9 eventually tracked him.
You skipped over the best part of this story. He was wearing a bandana to hide his face, but both barbers recognized him because he's a regular. Why would you go rob a place where you would be immediately recognized, even wearing a bandana? Why are you going to go break into the place where you go all the time?
I was leaving that to the end, Dan. You took my thunder there.
I'm sorry. We're in a bit of a rush to get to Ryan Gilbert, and I apologize. But
K9 Benny was able to track him down in the woods 350 feet away.
That is the best part of the story.
Yes.
Robbing a place in which he was a regular. For my story, we're going to Utah, where a woman was arrested after she was accused of starting a fire in a church building while setting up for her wedding, which was scheduled to take place the following day. 25-year-old Lanita Joy Moreno was arrested facing an aggravated arson charge 2.5 weeks after firefighters responded to a fire in Kaysville. It started in the Relief Society room of an LDS church building in Kaysville. That, of course, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. According to court documents, Moreno and the groom, along with family members, were setting up for their wedding. The family said they were about to leave when the fire alarm went off. A bystander used water, and another grabbed a fire extinguisher and put out the fire. Investigators arrived at the scene and determined that the fire appeared to have started under a chair using items that were out of the ordinary, including what appeared to be a tampon. Officials interviewed those present and learned that Moreno and the groom allegedly went in to secure the building just before the fire alarm went off. The groom told investigators they'd gone to the Relief Society room. The groom told investigators they'd gone to Ace Hardware earlier in the day to buy some hooks for the wedding. After reviewing footage, officials said Moreno stole 2 to 3 lighters from the store without her groom's knowledge.
Jeez.
It is believed that Moreno started the fire while the others were still inside, and here's the motive. She did not obtain a marriage license for her own wedding that has scheduled to occur the following day, but had lied, stating that she had. Sounds to me like a case of cold feet.
Yeah.
Cold feet. And she burnt down a church and endangered the lives of her groom-to-be and other family members, setting a fire with feminine hygiene products, all because maybe she didn't really want to get married.
Yeah.
I think that's so wild. I think that wins today, and I think it wins the week. Look, we've had operating a non-motor vehicle under the influence stories. How many brides you have burning down a church?
That's true. Just so they couldn't have their wedding.
With stolen lighters. Like, oh, hey, yeah, we're just going to pop over to Ace and get some stuff for the wedding. And meanwhile, she's pocketing lighters without anybody else's knowledge. She had a grand plan. She said, I am, whatever happened in that church tomorrow, it ain't me getting married. I don't have the license. I got nothing. I'm dying for a follow-up to this story. But it's going to be our winner for the week on What Is Wrong With You. When we come back, Ryan Gilbert at GoPowerCat.com for the Wildcat Wrap-Up. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. This time, we mean it, by Ryan Gilbert at GoPowerCat.com for the Wildcat Wrap-Up, sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors, who provide high-quality products at affordable prices. You can check out their showrooms in either Wamego or Lawrence, or visit them online at tallgrasswindows.com. Excellence without exception. That's Tallgrass Windows and Doors. Ryan, we're almost to August. It's just about time for the rubber to meet the road, isn't it?
Yes, it is. We just got our little fall camp schedule for K-State football released this afternoon. So we're getting, one step closer.
You have been churning out the football content over at GoPowerCat.com of late, including the 10 most important returners for the Wildcats in 2026. And no surprise that number one on your list, number one on everybody's list, I'm sure, was Avery Johnson. But who was the one guy over the course of your putting together that list of the most important returners? Did you maybe leave that exercise feeling like, man, this guy's really under the radar, but his success is going to go a long way to determining the success of maybe his side of the ball and as a proxy, the entire team this year?
Well, I think you have to go offense here, regardless of what you pick. I just think there's much more returning on offense, and so there's just more candidates to go around on that side of the football. Now, obviously, like I said, or like you said, Avery Johnson, the most important returning player, but he's going to need some help. He's going to need some weapons surrounding him, and that doesn't just go for the players, but the schematics, the coaching, all that stuff. He's a great player. If he doesn't get the help he needs, it's not going to mean anything. And so down low in the trenches, you've got one returner really that's got starting experience at Kansas State in John Pastore. And then other than that, it's going to be, backups from last year or newcomers from other schools that are all going to have to gel together. And that's going to be a challenge. Now, when you have that one player who is more than capable of being an all-conference type player in Pastore, he's vital to that group and being the anchor and kind of being the glue, the old head that's been around the block, so to speak, in the Big 12. Pastore is very important on that offensive line, but if Avery Johnson wants to have success, he's going to have Jerron Tibbs step up from what he did last year. Wasn't bad as a wide receiver, but you're going to need some game changers that are going to catch the football. Garrett Oakley, has dropped the football a lot in Manhattan. Lincoln Kira, former 5-star. Time for him to crack out of his shell. So Avery's going to need that help. So I guess if I had to give you, Dan, just one answer, I would have to go with John Pastore on the offensive line. But a lot of those guys just on offense in general are going to have to step up, and if Avery wants to have a good season.
You mentioned the wide receiver group and Jerron Tibbs in particular, the most experienced of those guys. And it's felt like over the last, 4 or 5 years, maybe as long as I've been covering K-State football, working at WIBW, that we go into the year feeling really excited about the wide receiver group. Certainly, I think this is more common in the last 4, 5, 6 years. You go into the year feeling really good about the depth of the group and the potential of the group, and then feeling really underwhelmed by the group by the end of the year. Not, true all the way across the board. Obviously, Jace Brown had a really nice career at Kansas State before he transferred this past year, but it's been an underwhelming position, I think you can say broadly, over the last couple of seasons. There isn't much hype. Maybe we've learned our lesson a bit from past years about this wide receiver group coming in, but what do you think that the ceiling is for guys like Tibbs and other returners like Sterling Lockett, Adonis Moise, and obviously some of the new guys like Josh Manning?
Yeah, this is really optimism season, and every offseason I think you're going to look at every position group, but specifically I'm right there with you with the wideouts. Everybody's healthy, and you focus more on the guys you bring in / returners than you do on the guys that depart. And year after year for Chris Kleiman, the wideout production just hasn't been there. So, with Colin Klein coming in, a new everything on offense, really, one would hope that can change, and those wideouts can be year after year difference makers. But you're right, it just hasn't been there despite all the excitement that seems to have been revolving around those wideouts every year. But Yeah, Tibbs has to step up. I think he's got obviously a year under his belt with Avery Johnson. There should be some chemistry there. I wouldn't label Adonis Moyes as a wild card or anything like that, but I'm not sure if you can rely on him to be a consistent pass catcher just based off of what you've seen in Manhattan up to this point. Now you take what you can get, but as far as the returners go, Tibbs is really the only one up there on that list that I'd feel comfortable saying you're going to go out and have 4 or 5 catches a game, what have you. Sterling Lockett, really great young man, but to be more than a special teamer, maybe a gadget guy here and there, not sure if he's ever going to be a true difference maker at the wideout spot for Kansas State. So some of those newcomers, like you said, Josh Manning, cousins with former K-State hoops player Taj Manning, right? There's actually, a lot of familiarity there with Avery Johnson. As Manning was heavily recruited by K-State before. K-State thought they had him. He goes to Mizzou, but now ultimately is in Manhattan. But Avery and him go back a little bit. So a lot of that, the key to the success for offense is just going to be the continuity with some of these guys with Avery. And obviously, I mentioned some of those returning players, but Josh Manning can fall under that umbrella as well.
We're talking to Ryan Gilbert, GoPowerCat.com. He joins us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline here. This is the Wildcat Wrap-Up, sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors. On the program, we do it every Wednesday at this time. Pivoting to basketball, we've seen the non-conference schedule now for Kansas State. We've also seen the exhibition schedule, a couple of exhibitions on the docket for K-State. They're going to play Mizzou at Bramlage. They're going to meet Nebraska out in Grand Island, the Tri-Cities there in central Nebraska, where I spent a fair amount of time, and play out there. These are intriguing matchups, and they would be intriguing regular season non-conference matchups. Why do you think it is the trend now, and Kansas State's not the only program doing this, obviously it takes 2 to tango, but why do you think we're seeing more of these matchups that would be really appealing non-conference regular season games turn into exhibition games instead?
Well, I guess you don't have much to lose. By going out and doing this, you can lose the game. And, for example, Kansas State last season with Jerome Tang had a scrimmage, an exhibition at Missouri. And really, Tang and his coaching staff did not view winning as the priority, for lack of a better term, right? They just wanted to kind of find out some stuff about their guys and see what they've got. Now, if you're playing Missouri in a real game, well, you're more focused on actually winning the game itself. But I wouldn't call it a glorified practice or a glorified scrimmage, but and I'm not sure where Casey Alexander views this, but just in terms of the previous staff, I know that they felt that they wanted to learn more about their team rather than go out and really try to win the game. And so, probably next time we talk with Alexander, I'm sure that will be, maybe something that gets brought up, but it's, you'd love to have these, Nebraska. K-State, Nebraska played a real game last year in Kansas City, but you'd love to have those in the regular season, but I guess there's nothing to lose if you do it as an exhibition.
The best non-conference regular season matchup to come to Bramlage, you've got Creighton coming to town for a game fairly early on in the non-conference schedule. And look, I understand the risk-reward of it all, and that at the end of the day, it really does feel like, especially in the 76-team NCAA tournament area, I think it's probably even less important who you play in the non-conference and more about do you win the games. So more bye games are going to be incentivized. We've seen Iowa State lard their schedule with home bye games and doesn't seem to hurt their seeding come NCAA tournament time. So I don't blame Kansas State for doing it that way. But do you view it as important? Do you think that the athletic department, Coach Alexander, view it as important to at least get one game into Bramlage in the non-conference where you're going to have some intrigue and put some butts in the seat and really kind of be tested in a really good home environment against a good program?
First of all, it's tough with being in the players era. That is going to be 3 really tough games, and so there's a chance Kansas State can go out there and go 0-3. That could absolutely happen with a first-year head coach, and so I understand it's kind of an inexact science, but I understand not wanting too many quote unquote losable games on your schedule in the non-conference. But I think you ask anybody in Manhattan, you'd like to see more than one notable game inside of Bramlage. But you said it. You gotta have a good record. You got to win games, and even if they're bye games or those gimme games, you know what? As long as you win in the non-conference, sometimes that can be all that matters. Now, I think going to Kansas City and playing Wichita State is awesome. That's a great way to energize that fan base in that metro area just down the road on I-70. But here in Manhattan, I think you'd like to have a game or two more that are just, going to draw a crowd, with all due respect to Montana or Cal State Bakersfield, some of these schools. It's going to be, it's going to be tough to energize the fan base. Now, Casey Alexander has done a 180 when you look at Jerome Tang, right? Casey Alexander is not interested in trying to rile up the fan base or be on social media and do all that stuff, right? He's putting his head down and he's going to work and he's going to let his results, the game, do the talking. But it's going to be hard to, kind of generate that buzz when a lot of those games at home are just the bye games. So there is no good exact way to do it when you have those games in the Players era, but I guess one game, right, against Creighton in Bramlage is better than zero.
We're joined by Ryan Gilbert, managing editor, GoPowerCat.com, here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. And to that point, Ryan, do you think maybe that it's maybe just because of the time in which they had to schedule games that they didn't maybe have enough chance to get a big game to come to Bramlage because those teams already scheduled, and with whatever the Tang staff left, the one or two games I think that were left over, that they just had to kind of hit the ground running to get games at all? And do you think that maybe next year there could be, the scheduling philosophy could not necessarily change, but you see one or two more big games come to Bramlage just because there's time to work that out?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Casey Alexander mentioned it last week that he's pretty pleased. He's happy with the way that this worked out. Now, maybe his ideas, his views on how to make a schedule could change moving forward. But, a handful of, notable power conference opponents, a lot of home games early, a lot of bye games early to kind of get your feet under you. It seems like Alexander's very happy with the way that it worked out. Now, Casey Alexander had to play Creighton here as the return game of a home and home, and then Seton Hall, right? Seton Hall came to Kansas State last season. So after that, it doesn't seem like there was a whole lot to work with. Now, you could be struggling to find those power conference opponents, but Alexander kind of just made it sound like, man, he was pleased with the way this ended up. So, next year, I think maybe some of this will depend on the MTE tournament that, K-State gets in and how many notable games you'll have there. But, yeah, I think moving forward, I wouldn't be surprised if the number of home games and the number of bye games and the number of power conference opponents kind of all stays the same as it was this year.
Ryan Gilbert is the managing editor of GoPowerCat.com and joins us this afternoon for the Wildcat Wrap-Up, sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors, who provide high-quality products at affordable prices. You can check out their showrooms in either Wamego or Lawrence or visit them online at tallgrasswindows.com. Excellence without exception. That's Tallgrass Windows and Doors. Ryan, always a pleasure. We'll do it again soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you as always.
That is Ryan Gilbert. We will step aside for a break. We'll come back, continue our countdown to Chiefs kickoff as we wrap up the 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. We are 47 days away from Chiefs kickoff. That's our countdown to Chiefs kickoff. 47 days shy of the opener between the Chiefs and the Broncos Monday night, September 14th at Arrowhead Stadium. Number 47 on the Chiefs. Man, is there a worse football number than 47? Just like vibe, just aura of a jersey number. I think 47 and 39 might be the worst I can think of.
I don't know. I like 47. But that's because growing up, one of my favorite players.
Chris Cooley was 47?
Yeah.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, I remember now. That's a good. I guess that's the good number for him. Yeah.
Except for it was weird.
I don't know.
Because
Maybe it depends on the position. Like, okay, I feel like 47 for a tight end maybe works. 47 for a cornerback is horrible.
DeShazer Everett?
No.
I think he played for the Seahawks, I think, too. He wore a 47, and I said, this just looks wrong?
No, it looks wrong on a cornerback. But it is issued right now by the Chiefs to an undrafted free agent at cornerback, Zelmar Vetter, who played last year at Houston after starting his college career at Sacramento State. There are fun stories all over a 90-man roster. All you got to do is know where to look. I did some Googles on Zelmar Vetter. His dad was a 4-time boxing world champion.
Sick.
David Vetter fought, now his career record, 23, 25, and 5. So we're not talking about one of the all-time, like, greats here. But he fought Virgil Hill twice. That's a name, fight people might know. He fought Chris Bird, who I think was the world heavyweight champion at one point. Fought Oleg Maskayev, who was a champion at one point. So he fought some, like, recognizable guys. And won 4 bouts that were for world championships. Now, there's like 8 different world championship belts that are up for grabs at any given time. But, yeah, his dad was a champion boxer. And Zelmar Vetter, good bowler, bowled a 275 in high school. How about that? We got headlines, one got to go, and some baseball talk. Coming up, final hour, 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Third and final hour of 580 Sports Talk on a Wednesday. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis, rocking with you on the sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, on your mobile device, on the MSC radio app, and on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk. I gave you a little wave if you're watching on the video stream right now. That's just for our video viewers. We got one more hour to spend together. 6 o'clock, handed off to the Royals Radio Network. Royals and Twins, game 2 of their 3-game series tonight at Target Field. Royals' final visit to the Twin Cities this year. Randy Dobnak on the bump for KC. Joe Ryan on the mound for the Twins, a pitcher that the Royals have historically hated to face. 6:40. First pitch tonight. Again, 6 o'clock pregame coverage here on 580 WIBW. We have some Royals injury news to bring you. We'll do that in our Sports Talk headlines. We'll look back a little bit at last night's game, look ahead to not just tonight's contest, but tomorrow afternoon's game, because the finale between the Royals and Twins is a day game tomorrow, a 12 noon pregame start, 12:40 first pitch. Which means 580 Sports Talk will be on following Royals baseball. Even if you get like a game right at 2 hours, then we join you live at our regularly scheduled 3 o'clock start time. Major League Baseball average game time is about 2 hours, 40 minutes. Post game, call it about 3 hours of broadcast time. So we'll probably be with you closer to 3:45. Tomorrow we'll have a little bit of time to react to the Royals in that 3 o'clock hour, and then have a full final 2 hours of show with you tomorrow. So we got that coming up later this hour. One got to go later on this hour, and again, our 580 Sports Talk headlines as well. Text line is open. Want to hear from you. 785-272-9429. 785-272-9429. You can also interact with us in the live chat on our YouTube channel. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. We appreciate those of you who check us out on YouTube on a regular, or even if it's just a semi-regular basis. We appreciate you being in there with us and helping to grow the 580 Sports Talk community. I have to confess, the music, the Guess the Artist trivia, that game that our YouTube subscribers have going in there. I know they're before your time, Spencer, and I know they're most of them are before my time too. So if you're in there looking like, man, what song is that? Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad.
Yeah.
Because no, I feel the same way sometimes. But no, we appreciate you guys. Just that's. We've never intended for, I mean, certainly our show is not straight down the line X's and O's for 3 hours. We've never intended the chat to be, we never told you what it had to be. It's whatever y'all make it. It's the 580 Sports Talk community. And we appreciate you guys giving it life and being a part of the family of the show. So, again.
We should do a Song of the Day segment.
Well, I mean, we do. We do play, those return beds. Problem with the Song of the Day is we might snipe us on you get DMCA.
You don't have to play it. You
YouTube or Spotify.
Yeah, I guess you just don't play it. You just say, "Hi, this is the song of the day."
Yeah, but it's the Song of the Day, and you don't play it. It's not as fun. Yeah. It's it'd be in a world without copyright restrictions. It would work a lot better.
If only the world lived without copyright restrictions, everything would be fun.
Well, a lot of lawyers would be out of jobs.
That's true.
I know nobody's going to weep for the who will weep for the lawyers, but who will weep for the copyright lawyers?
There'd be no such thing as BMI.
No, they'd be out of business. ASCAP, nope, that would not exist, and that would be less paperwork for people in our industry to fill out. You ever fill out any of that paperwork? BMI, ASCAP?
No, I have a funny story real quick about some like that. So I'll preface this with my maybe not the best person in the world. My former boss, he owned one station, and one station only. It was a talk radio station.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, he was in magazines and graphic design.
Okay.
You know, when you work at those stations, you have to do those agreements if you're going to play break beds, right?
Right.
Well, he said, bleep that.
Okay.
And
you don't really get to do that.
They would call the station asking for the owner.
And he just ignored him.
Yep. He said, well, that shouldn't happen. We're not a music station. We shouldn't have to pay for the rights to music. But you use it.
Sounds like the guy who owned the radio station I worked for in Wichita. I think he'd pull a move like that. But I've had to fill out the paperwork before. It's a process.
Yeah.
It's a process. A very brief amount of time spent as somebody who is programming a country music station. And look, I've worked long enough in radio. I've done enough in radio. I don't say no to things. That's how you get a long way in a lot of businesses, radio being one of them, is you don't say no to stuff. You do what needs doing. And at one place I worked, what needed doing was a brand new country station needed programming. And maybe nobody's ever been less qualified to do that job than me. But I did it, and I filled out some of that paperwork. Anyway, those are exciting stories about paperwork. Let's get to some headlines instead.
Got some good ones.
Which at the end of the day, a lot of these stories are about paperwork, too, when you get right down to it. Contracts, agreements, transactions, paperwork. Everything's paperwork when you get right down to it. Let's start with some Royals news. None of it's good. Vinny Pasquantino heading back to the injured list today. He left last night's game with a sore right wrist. That's the same hand on which he broke the hamate bone earlier this season. And instead of playing the waiting game with Vinny, as the Royals have been known to do with their injured players throughout this season, the Royals instantly placed him on the 10-day injured list today. John Rave gets the call from AAA Omaha. Rave actually performed fairly well earlier this year when he got the call. In 9 games, he batted .222, but he slugged .611 with a pair of doubles, a triple, and a home run among his, in fact, all 4 of his hits in 18 at-bats. All 4 of his hits went for extra bases, so he'll get another crack at things as he joins the 26-man roster. There is also news about a rehabbing Royal, and imagine this, it's bad.
Oh, no.
Michael Garcia felt similar pain symptoms in his hand that he had been feeling before, obviously, during last night's rehab game. He was supposed to DH today at AA Northwest Arkansas, but instead is now headed back to Kansas City for further evaluation. So that certainly seems like a return for the Royals all-star third baseman is now even further off. And I got to be honest, the more this keeps happening, guys sitting out for 3 or 4 days and then getting put on the injured list, or guys starting rehab assignments and then getting pulled back from their rehab assignments and starting them and stopping them again. I know there's a lot of fans who want the house cleaned in the dugout. I know there's a lot of fans who want the house cleaned in the front office. I think whatever happens, you got to take a real hard look at the training room. You got to take a real hard look at why this keeps happening, why guys are being sent out on rehab assignments and then instantly re-injuring themselves, or coming off of the injured list and then instantly suffering a re-aggravation of the same injury. What exactly is the training staff up to? It doesn't seem like it's anything good this year. And I'm sure, I don't know everything that goes into being the team trainer. And certainly there's an element of you got to take guys at their word when they say they feel good. And if you check an x-ray and things look like they're in working order, you probably naturally clear a guy to play. I don't know how much blame, what is an appropriate amount of blame to place at the feet of a training staff, an organizational training staff. But I do know when this stuff keeps happening, and it's happening over and over. Bubich twice. Reagan's ended up he needed Tommy John. Carlos Estevez went out for a rehab assignment, immediately recalled, and we're run out of time to see him pitch again this year. Now it's happened to Garcia. It raises questions.
A lot.
That's all I'm saying. It raises questions about the process, about how these guys are being treated, about the advice that they're getting, and it's really, really troubling. And the other part of it, and we sort of touched on it yesterday, Beck Way went on the IL with a back injury yesterday, and there have been a spate of back injuries for Royals players this year. And just it raises a lot of questions about the process, and just, add it to the list, because there's been a lot of questions raised about the Royals processes from the very top all the way down to the training staff this year. But certainly doesn't seem to reflect particularly well on the process there. So those are your first headlines today. Let's get to our next headline, Spencer.
Do you want me to just bunch these two basketball KU ones together?
Sure, but obviously the first one we're going to talk about.
Yes, obviously, yes. Kansas men's basketball. We were alluded to this by our guy, Michael Swain, yesterday. After I asked the question, John Calipari, Coach Cal at Arkansas, he was talking about his team schedule and his media availability, and he said they were going to play Kansas in an exhibition game. Well, that's not happening. But as Michael Swain said on these airwaves yesterday afternoon, that KU was going to play, I think he did use the word blue blood. I think he said blue blood on the air yesterday. Well, they will host Duke in an exhibition contest at Allen Fieldhouse.
Blood don't get bluer than that.
As part of a home-and-home exhibition next year in the preseason of 2027. We'll have one at Cameron Indoor as well. It's their third and final exhibition for KU, and I believe it's called the Blue Blood Classic. It'll be Sunday, October 25th. Some Kansas fans might get a little salty if they bought season tickets, because I think I read that it is not included in the season ticket package to go to the game.
So it's going to be the third of the exhibition games. You're now allowed to play 3. KU will play Pitt State in their late night at the Fog exhibition October 16th, and then they'll host Louisville October 21st, and then Duke will come calling October 25th, a week and change ahead of their official season opener that Monday, November 2nd against Fordham. I asked Ryan Gilbert this question, and I mean, I guess the answer is fairly plain, but you do wonder, okay, well, if Duke's willing to come to town for a home and home for an exhibition series, why not make it a regular season game? Why not play a game? And again, like, the obvious answer is a loss in an exhibition game doesn't cost you anything. A loss in a regular season game could be detrimental to your seeding, to your, how it's going to shake out in the NCAA tournament. And I just feel like if you sign up to play Duke, like, KU plays Duke. They plays them once every 3 years. They're not scared of playing Duke in the regular season, clearly. They're not ducking Duke. They're not afraid, oh, man, if we lose to Duke. Because losing to Duke is what you're supposed to do unless you are a fellow blue blood. It's not a big deal to lose a regular season game to Duke. You don't get dinged for losing to Duke, just like you don't get dinged for losing to Kansas, right? Kansas goes and they beat a team. That team doesn't really get dinged for losing to Kansas. It's, hey, you played Kansas. Maybe you even played them tough. But they got you, and you know what? Sometimes you lose to Kansas because they're really good and they win a lot of games every year. So I'm glad it's happening. It's a tasty proposition to see these two programs play against each other. And I think it's especially appealing for this year for these programs because both of them have overhauled their rosters so much.
Yeah.
And again, that part of it is the nature of recruiting and the nature of modern college basketball. A lot of programs overhaul their rosters. But Duke and Kansas always have high expectations, and they both have overhauled rosters going into the year. So they're going to use it as a chance to get some of their freshmen, get their feet wet. For Duke, it's a chance to go play in a hostile environment, which a road environment, which I'm sure is an experience that John Shire will appreciate his players having had well before they get into ACC play. I like that it exists. I would love to know why they wouldn't do that for a home and home that counts. And KU has scheduled really well, really tough over the years. Like, yeah, they've got bye games. Everybody's got bye games. They got Denver. They got Middle Tennessee. They got
That's how it works.
Indiana State. They got New Orleans. Yeah, of course.
You have to meet the number of games on the schedule, and you're not playing 20 some odd, or what is how many non-conference games are there? 10?
I think, let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 non-conference.
You're not playing 14 power conference teams.
No.
On that. It just doesn't.
And Kansas comes closer than most.
Yeah.
To playing as many as possible. They got the Champions Classic. They're in the Players era. They're playing Mizzou. They're playing UConn and Villanova, and they've got the CBS Sports Classic.
Yeah, they do those classics
against Ohio State this year. So it's not a matter of, they're afraid to schedule. It's just, if you're going to schedule a home against Duke, why not do that in a form where, like, yeah, it would mean something to win.
Yeah.
Like, instead of, this doesn't go on our record. Yeah, we win, and it feels great, and everybody's buzzing outside Allen Fieldhouse, but you're still 0-0 with Fordham coming in a weekend today.
That's like who's playing, who's not. Oh, we're not going to play this guy because it's an exhibition game.
And the other part of it that you lose is it used to be that Kansas played the in-state D2s. Those were the exhibition games that you played. They got 2 every year, and they would play on a rotating basis. Pitt State, Washburn, Emporia, and Hayes. They played 2 of them one year. They played 2 of them the next. And obviously, we have some bias in favor of doing that because cover Washburn. They're here in the capital city. I have a lot of affection for that particular game. I was part of the Washburn broadcast team for 4 years. My first game on the Washburn radio crew was at Allen Fieldhouse. Was the exhibition game. That was the Elite Eight team. It was Frank Mason year, where he was National Player of the Year. It was that team. So obviously, we're a little biased towards the existence of those games. I understand why increasingly you feel like you don't get as much out of those. But that's just it with Kansas is it doesn't matter who you bring into Allen Fieldhouse. You're going to sell every ticket.
Yeah.
That arena's full for Washburn. That arena's full for Emporia or Pitt. So you have that luxury. And to I understand why you box them out. I understand. It's a business. Those games go on TV. Those games, you can put a name on it, the Blue Blood Classic, and you can make more money. I understand why things are the way they are. Doesn't mean I have to like them. At the end of the day, doesn't mean that they have to be my favorite things in the world. You said you had another Kansas scheduling note on the women's side of basketball.
Yes, so we knew they were going to the Cancun Challenge. That was announced a month or 2 ago at this point. But they will compete in that Riviera tournament. It'll be 6 teams. They've now announced the scheduling for those games. It'll be 2 games apiece per team. Jayhawks will face Washington State on Thursday, November 26th at 3 p.m. Central before closing out the tournament against Miami, Ohio on Friday, November 20th.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm good now.
Frog jump in?
Yeah.
It happens.
Friday, November 27th at 5:30 p.m. Also basketball related, and then we can get to the other stuff. The TBT has come out with a statement. Got off the air last night, and a little bit later than that, TBC is suspended Aftershocks player Marcus Keene indefinitely from.
They've removed
events.
him from TBT events indefinitely, I believe,
Yes.
is how the statement was phrased.
So
and
then he published what looked to be AI generated apology letter on social media.
It was quite obviously AI. Once I saw that it was obviously AI, I didn't even bother reading it. You can't come up with your own apology. Save it. That's what I would say. If you can't, if you got to ask ChatGPT, how do I apologize to somebody I cheap shotted and a woman whose nose I broke? If you got to ask OpenAI how to do that, you're a weasel. Goodness. All right. Yeah. The game tonight, by the way, Jayhawks
6 o'clock.
La Familia, 6 o'clock, FS1. Let's get to some NFL news. A couple of star NFL running backs are holding in at their respective camps. Bijan Robinson of the Falcons, Jahmyr Gibbs of the Lions did not participate in the first training camp practice for their respective teams. Both players were first-round picks 3 years ago, so they would, given a fifth-year option be under contract through the 2027 season. And both players have had conversations with their respective teams about potential long-term contracts. Saquon Barkley is the highest-paid running back in the NFL. His contract is worth an annual average of $20.6 million. I think it's just kind of a game of chicken. Who gets to set the market first? Because one of those guys is probably going to make $21 million, and then the other guy is going to make like $21.1. Which one would you rather have? Long term. Like right now, you get one of those running backs and can build. I don't know that anybody builds an offense around a running back anymore, but like you have that guy for the rest of their career from right now to the end and on a long-term contract extension. Who'd you rather have, Robinson or Gibbs?
Ooh, this is a hard one.
It is a hard one, isn't it?
I think Bijan Robinson. I just think he's got a lot more in the tank.
See, I just think Gibbs is so electric. And does,
well, that was going to be my argument for Gibbs. Is like what he could do a lot for
18 touchdowns. Like caught 77 passes. Like Robinson is awesome.
I just worry about getting beat up catching passes.
Yeah, I understand that. Some more touches for Gibbs, perhaps. But I don't think there's a wrong answer there. But I think I might lean Gibbs, to be honest with you. Another star not participating in their team's first practice of camp Wednesday was Chris Olave, the wide receiver of the New Orleans Saints. He began the offseason on blood thinners due to a blood clot, but has been fully cleared to participate, but did not. And the reason is not medical, it is contract related. So a few players holding in with the start of camp. Give me another headline from the NCAA, Spencer. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, this is absurd. The NCAA has suspended Tennessee linebacker Arion Carter for the first 2 games of the season for accepting a $427 flight from an agent after he declared for the NFL draft. Carter, a senior from the state of Tennessee, played through a foot injury late in 2025. After declaring for the draft, he aggravated the injury and needed surgery and ultimately decided to return to Tennessee for another year. So I don't this is just absurd.
Yeah, this is the kind of petty nonsense it feels like the
apparently
NCAA
it was 3 games, but the Volunteers appealed the penalty and it was reduced to 2 games.
And I don't know what further recourse they have here, but I mean, yeah, $427. You're suspending a kid for 2 games.
But I guess because
money he paid back, by the way.
I guess too, they're saying because they categorize it as a level 3.
Yes, a level 3 violation.
Yes, so Tennessee self-reported that level 3 violation back in February, and they decided to enforce the level 3 violation that way.
Yeah, this is the kind of like petty nonsense, like when they sanctioned Utah basketball because Rick Majerus bought one of his players a hamburger after his dad died or something like that.
So
just
dumb.
the petty BS that everybody used to hate the NCAA for, and we used to think, yeah, the NCAA is ridiculous. They shouldn't get to enforce their stupid rules. And now we look around and it doesn't feel like they can enforce any of their rules. We think, well, wait a second, maybe they should enforce some rules. But not this one. This one sucks, and I feel bad for Arion Carter for having to deal with this. Last headline, just because it's amusing to me. I always like when there's an amusing baseball injury. We've got another one into that category, and another example too of sometimes the best moves are the ones you don't make. One free agent outfielder this offseason that was on the radar of the Royals that would have made a lot of sense for them back in January or February is Harrison Bader, who's coming off of a really good year with Minnesota, and signed with the Giants on a 2-year, $20.5 million contract. Well, he hit 170 in 30 games and has been out of the lineup since May 29th with plantar fasciitis in his left foot and was getting closer to a return before he was involved in a scooter crash over the weekend and injured the same foot. A planned appointment for Bader with a foot and ankle specialist on Monday was, quote, complicated by the crash and, quote, changed the nature of his evaluation, according to the Giants. They did not offer further details about the crash. Giants manager and total pud Tony Vitello told reporters Tuesday, quote, I reached out to him and asked him if he was okay. Obviously, he's not better than he was prior to that. It's also not the first scooter crash in Bader's history. He got suspended 19 games by the University of Florida in college after he got drunk and crashed a scooter.
Jeez.
So you'd think he'd learn, but that's kind of the year the Giants are having. Somebody's always got it. Although they are pummeling the Brewers today, 13-3. They're having a pretty miserable year, and so for all the bad moves the Royals made, sometimes the best moves are the ones you don't. At least they didn't link up with Harrison Bader for 2 years. Those are your 580 Sports Talk headlines. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, we got a round of One Gotta Go coming up here on 580 WIBW. One Gotta Go time on 580 Sports Talk. Inspired by an AMA question I got from YouTube viewer Vance yesterday when you were out on the road. One gotta go. Grapes, strawberries, blueberries, or cherries. One gotta go.
Not a cherry fan, so that's it.
Interesting. Why not? Is it the seeds or the pits?
Yeah, I just don't like the texture.
So
Chick-fil-A always be trying to put it in my milkshakes.
The maraschino cherries? Like the bar cherry? You don't like bar cherries?
I don't like any kind of cherry.
Oh, I love bar cherry. I would eat an entire jar of bar cherries right this second. I'm going to do that during a show one day. I'm just going to bring a thing of bar cherries and just sit there and eat them. My son did that once. It was his first birthday because I joked with Vance when he asked the question on AMA yesterday that my son's answer to the question, because he asked me which one I like best, and I said my son's answer would be yes, because my son is very much still all about berries, which everybody goes through that phase.
But cherry's not a berry.
It's not, technically speaking, but like berry adjacent. Grape's not a berry either. It's berry adjacent. Anyhow, it was his first birthday. We were out to eat. I think we were at the Iron Rail, and our server, like, this is 1-year-old child, very picky, not eating like a whole lot of solid food.
Yeah.
The guy thought it would be funny to give Asher some like bar fruit, like a lemon and an orange and some cherries, and said, hand him the lemon, see what face the baby makes. And Asher housed the lemon. Like, oh man, this is delicious. You got any more of those lemons? And he ate the orange, and then he ate a bunch of bar cherries.
Oh my gosh.
so man, I love bar cherry. Man, that's the best part of getting the cherry limeade at Sonic is they'll stick a couple of bar cherries down, and it's almost like a game. You fish them out of there with your straw when you're done drinking the cherry lime. I love those. Anyway, I also like, regular old, cherries with the pits in them and everything. The one got to go for me in that collection, which again, grapes, strawberries, blueberries, and cherries. The one got to go is blueberries because the floor is lower. Good blueberries are fabulous.
Yeah.
Bad blueberry will ruin your day. Because I've had to take some of those bullets. I've had to fish some of the bad blueberries out of my son's bowl of blueberries that he would have for a snack. And, bad blueberry will ruin your day. Bad blueberry is worse than a bad version of any of those other ones. So I will say the blueberry has to go. Like them all, though. Like them all. And funnily enough, right now, Asher's big thing is apples. Apples and Nutri-Grain bars. He wanted 2. He wanted 2 this morning. He go bar. He said, Daddy, bar. I'm like, we're not going to the bar, kid. You're 2. Bar. All right. What color do you want, kid? And we got pink, red, and blue. Pink one. I think that's strawberry. And I go to pull it out of the pantry, and I start to open it. He's jumping up and down. He's so excited to get his bar. And he houses it in no time at all. And then 5 minutes later, Daddy, bar. You had a bar. What do you mean you want another one? All right, fine. Well, blue one. Blue one. We got him a blue one. So that's the 580 Dad Talk. We have a one got to go today?
Yes.
Right.
Mode of travel for a trip. Driving in your car, flying, or on a train. And if you could never use one of those ever again to go on a trip.
So run them by me again. Car, planes, trains, or automobiles?
Yeah.
All right. So I've never been on a cross-country train ride. I'd really like to go. Yeah, it's such a bummer to me. It's because I looked it up. Because there's passenger rail service here in Topeka.
Yeah.
You can get on the Amtrak and take, gosh, I don't remember the name of the line. I'm sure somebody out there knows it. The Southwest Chief, I think it is. That might be it. It might be the Southwest Chief. But anyway, so I was thinking, man, wouldn't it be really cool? Because I know, obviously, there's Amtrak service to Denver. Wouldn't it be really cool to take the train from Topeka to Denver? Well, you can't. Yeah, to get from Topeka to Denver via train, you have to go to Galesburg, Illinois, and then get on a different line, and then take that line to Denver.
Interesting.
Which was a huge bummer. So instead of it being like a 8-10 hour train ride, it'd be like a 21-hour train ride.
Jeez.
So that doesn't sound like nearly as much fun. I bagged that idea.
Yeah,
I would like to see, I think train would be really fun, and
see the scenes.
Yeah, and I like to drive. Honestly, and I like to fly. I like to travel. There's none of those that I guess I would say train because I could probably do without it the most. But if you told me I had to drive everywhere instead of I couldn't fly anywhere, I had to drive, depending on the location, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
Because really, when you think about it, especially here in Topeka, where we do not have commercial air service, and if you want to fly anywhere, it's either an hour, 20-minute drive to Kansas City or an hour, 20-minute drive to Salina, where you can fly to Denver with a stop in Hayes, which is hilarious. And
wait, what?
Yeah, you stop in Hayes.
How small is this plane?
It's not big. You only get, I think 3,000 feet up from Salina to Hayes. But yeah.
Can you fly out of Manhattan?
Not to Denver.
Oh.
Not to Denver direct. No.
Oh.
And yeah, you could fly Denver direct to Salina, but it's Salina, Hayes, and then Denver.
At which point you drive to Salina, you might as well just keep driving, right?
Well,
you're already an hour and a half to 2 hours
on the one hand, yes, but
you're already a quarter of the way there, right?
It's a cheaper ticket. I've done it before. It was a couple of years ago when a buddy of mine who's a University of Colorado alum, had scored us some tickets to see Colorado play Oregon State. This was Prime's first season, and they were still in the Pac-12. And I did. I bought a plane ticket out of Salina. I flew out of Salina just to see, and it ended up being a little bit more cost effective than because parking's free.
Yeah.
So it was more cost effective than flying out of Kansas City would be, even just for that reason. But anyway, so those are your options for airline travel. Yeah, Manhattan's an option depending on where you're flying. You fly out of Manhattan. But that's a whole day, right? Like you've got an hour to get to the airport. You've got an hour to wait for your flight. You want to get there an hour to 90 minutes early. Maybe not as important if you're going to one of the smaller airports, but if you're going to a bigger airport, you want to get there early. And then you got, to get to your ultimate destination once you do land. So it ends up being a whole travel day anyway. You may as well just drive it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. This comes about because so Olivia yesterday had to get a connecting flight from Pittsburgh to Nashville, from Nashville to here. And we did that same flight back in March when we went to her grandfather's funeral. And now both times she's taken Pittsburgh to Nashville, Nashville to Kansas City, there's been like obscure random delays for the back end of the flight. And so I was sitting there in the cell phone lot at MCI yesterday, just pondering about life for a good 40 minutes. And I was like, you know what? What about taking a train somewhere? Like, I think that would be really cool to take a train across the country and see the scenes of the world of America. So
yeah. I hope to do that sometime. I was talking to my wife about it the other day because, my son is into vehicles.
Yes.
And he was playing with some toy trains and just had the idle thought. And then I went and looked, Topeka to Denver, how long would that take? 23 hours? Never mind. That's one got to go. We're going to take a timeout. We'll come back, talk a little baseball. Royals and Twins coming up tonight. Pregame in about 18 minutes. We'll talk some baseball next on 580 Sports Talk. .544 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer with you. I'll get to the Royals in just a little bit. Spencer, do you know who Jack Strand is? Is that a name you're familiar with?
I feel like I've heard it before.
You may have heard it today. Jack Strand finished fourth in the Harlan Hill Trophy voting after a standout senior year at Minnesota State Moorhead last season.
Yes, that's what we talked about. We've talked about
had a big year at quarterback for the Dragons. And as of today, he was the only healthy quarterback at Atlanta Falcons camp.
Jeez.
He was the only one.
UDFA.
He was the only healthy quarterback. Michael Penix is still a ways away. Tua Tagovailoa is not 100%. Trevor Siemian was just waived with an injury designation. They have signed Cooper Rush. But today it
Cowboy
was
and Raven great.
Yes, today it was the Jack Strand show at Falcons camp.
Honestly, though, that's got to be like, as much as it sucks knowing your team doesn't have a quarterback. If you're Jack Strand, like, you are living and breathing in every moment of this.
Yeah, best day of your life.
Yes,
you're QB1 today.
Yes.
Also, Bijan Robinson is holding in. Also, Juwan Taylor's on the pup list. However bad you thought the Falcons were going to be this year, adjust your expectations downward. I just saw that today, that a D2 kid was the only healthy quarterback at an NFL team camp today.
So it's really funny. If you look up Falcons and Google gives you like the players listed that they have on their roster, it says, and I quote, Tua Tagovailoa, Bijan Robinson, Michael Penix Jr., James Pierce Jr., Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Zachariah Branch, I think.
Zachariah Branch, the
Branch,
rookie out of USC.
Jack Strand. So there's
Georgia.
There's 3 quarterbacks listed on this player.
I think if you Google the Falcons, Google should return you a number of a therapist.
I also forgot that their head coach is, in fact, Kevin Stefanski.
It is Kevin Stefanski.
That slipped my mind until I just read it.
And I kind of think that Kevin Stefanski is at least a decent offensive coach.
Yeah.
But the Falcons are the Falcons, man. Like, some franchises are cursed. The Royals aren't cursed. It just kind of feels that way this year. That the 2026 Royals were born under a bad sign. They lost last night in the 9th inning. Imagine that. Another 9th inning gone sideways.
Another 1-run game.
Alex Lang giving up a 2-run triple to Royce Lewis with 2 outs in the 9th. Royals turn a 2-1 lead into a 3-2 defeat. The good news for the Royals last night, Seth Lugo threw the ball well. 6 innings of 1-run ball. Only 2 strikeouts, but also only 2 walks. Made it clear he can help a contender if the Royals choose to do what they did not choose to do last year and move on from the veteran right-hander. I know it would make a bit of an uphill climb to build a competitive pitching rotation in 2027 a little steeper if you trade Seth Lugo, but also you could simply, reinvest the $21 million you're not have to pay him next year. You'd reinvest that. Just a thought. Do I necessarily trust, and this is not necessarily a commentary on John Sherman, this is just a commentary on mid to small market ownership in baseball. Do I trust any of them to actually go out and be aggressive and sign players?
No.
Do we know if we're going to have an April or a May or a June into the 2027 baseball season? That's a whole other conversation for another day. And I do want to have that conversation because I think, be honest, I think a lot of you are getting suckered on this salary caps talk. Salary caps are bad. You should not want one in Major League Baseball. Like, I am happy to expand on this when we have more time. I will stretch my legs on this thought, but trust me when I tell you, you do not want a salary cap in Major League Baseball. What you want are better owners. And not richer owners, just better ones. You just want better owners. And unfortunately, there are a lot of bad ones in baseball. And one of them is Dick Monfort of the Rockies, and he is very, very influential in the owner's room, in the owner's meetings. So that's why you're getting all the propaganda. Like every time you turn on a game on MLB TV, it's like, level the playing field. Tell the owner, tell Major League Baseball you want a salary cap. You don't. Because it's not only is it anti-labor, but also they just aren't fun. Like, what's fun about talking about the salary cap? I'll be honest with you. I've hosted a sports talk show now since, in some form or fashion, off and on since 2009. And the one thing that is guaranteed to make my eyes glaze over, even as I'm talking about it, is talking about salary cap considerations, contract numbers, cap casualties, dead money. And that's just the NFL, right? Like, we don't even deal with the NBA really around here. And the arcane restrictions that go with the salary cap in the NBA, they're not fun to talk about. Nobody likes salary caps. You just wish your team got a turn. Maybe you just wish your team had better owners and better general manager and better scouts and better players. I said I wasn't going to get on the soapbox today, and I just kind of did. But I'll expand on that at some point. I promise I will. But trust me, just trust your friend Dan. You do not want a salary cap in Major League Baseball. What you want are better owners. Anyhow, Royals and Twins tonight. Game 2 of the 3-game set. Joe Ryan, Royals killer, on the bump for the Twins, who are threatening to be the third American League Central team over 500.
Oh, no.
You know, many other divisions have 3 teams over 500. Not the West. The West only has 1.
Alert the authorities.
So, yeah, look at it. You're not making big fun of the Central now, are you? Not with the White Sox 4 games clear of 500 and Cleveland 1 game clear of 500. But the road got a little tougher, though, for the Twins today. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Byron Buxton to the injured list.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Shocking, right? And I like Byron Buxton. I have Byron Buxton bobblehead in my office.
Appointment on the injured list.
Yeah, it really does.
Regularly scheduled
trip to the injured list. Anyhow, the lineup to face Joe Ryan tonight will not include Vinny Pasquantino, who we told you earlier hit the IL today with wrist soreness. So the 3 best Royals hitters are not in the lineup right now. So you've got Carter Jensen leading off, doing the catching. Lane Thomas in center, Jack Caglione in right. Salvador Perez in at first base. Michael Massey's at second, batting 5th. Nick Lofton at third will bat 6th, followed by Isaac Collins in left field. Josh Rojas DHing, and Tyler Tolbert at short. Randy Dobnak goes for the Royals tonight, the former Uber driver making his 3rd start of the season. He's posted a good ERA, a really good ERA, 1.42 in his 19 innings, but 10 strikeouts to 9 walks suggests he's kind of doing it with mirrors. He'll face the following Minnesota 9, Trevor Larnach in left field, Brooks Lee at third, Cody Clemens at second base. Josh Bell DHing, bats cleanup. Royce Lewis is at first base tonight. Victor Caratini does the catching. It's Alan Roden in right field, real person, allegedly. He'll homer tonight, guarantee it. Luke Keeschel in center field. Ryan Kreidler is the shortstop. And then the 2 teams will play tomorrow afternoon. As we mentioned, we'll be a little preempted on the show tomorrow. A 12:40 first pitch in the finale. Royals have not announced a starting pitcher for tomorrow. It'll be Bailey Ober going for the Twins.
Is tomorrow Noah Cameron's spot or no? No, it can't be already.
No, I don't believe so. Yeah, because Cameron worked not the opener of this series.
He worked Sunday or Saturday?
Well, now you got me all crossways here. Let me look here. So yesterday was Lugo. Day before that was Avila. Day before that was Waka. And then it was...
So is that Cameron's spot?
No, because Cameron worked... Yeah, I guess it would be. Yeah, it would be Cameron's spot.
So are they going to go another opener?
Could go with the opener again. Obviously, Beck Way was the opener last time, and he's hurt. So, could be an opener for Cameron. We'll find out. Good text from the 785. Why are the Omaha Storm Chasers playing the Twins tonight? Oh, good text.
John Ray's available off the bench. Hashtag Omaha Storm Chasers.
Strong text. It's been that kind of year. We'll take a timeout. Final word is next on 580 Sports Talk. It's final word time here on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer Dupuis, help us wrap up the show today.
Yeah, final word for me. I am glad that the Chiefs have announced they're going to do anything they possibly can do to try to make their stadium have natural grass. The players want it, right? The players that you pay a lot of money to, the players that get hurt so easily, and then they're trying to tie these injuries to turf. If there is such a correlation, I haven't done the studies or looked at the studies, but if that's what it is, you need to get natural grass on every single field in the NFL.
Yeah, I think the players would agree with you wholeheartedly on that one. Final word for me today. I like to hear that the Chiefs are going to be aggressive about trying to get a Super Bowl as soon as they get that new stadium open, that they're going to try and get a Final Four as soon as they get that stadium open. I really do think Kansas City has as much of a place as San Antonio has in the regular Final Four rotation. I mean, it'd be a better Final Four city than San Antonio, to be completely honest with you. And I think they proved with the World Cup that they can do big, major sporting events, and that will be huge in trying to attract those events in the future. We're on tomorrow after Royals baseball. For Spencer, I'm Dan. This is 580 Sports Talk. Good night.